Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 18 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors Podcast, where we talk about our experiences of ballroom dancing students, dancing with the stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Camille.
So on the episode today, we're going to be talking about our dance for us this past week, pretty much the same as the last few episodes, where we're just going to highlight our group classes this week. There's been a few changes and we had a few like final classes or our last classes of the month from October to November. So we'll be talking about that, a little bit more about our prep for our competition in November or this month. And it's so crazy to even think about. And then Halloween night of Dancing with the Stars. And then we're going to be recapping episodes 10 and 11 of Bachelor in Paradise. So Camille, do you want to kick it off? Just talking about group class this week?
Yes. So Monday was Halloween. We still did have group classes. I know we had our Halloween party at the studio last week. We talked about in last week's episode. Our picture with our costumes is on Instagram. So since Monday was the last day of October, we had our last contemporary class, as we were talking about. But we do have some new classes that are fun, and we'll be replacing it. But we danced.
Hopefully it comes back soon.
Yes, it will probably come back at some point. But I think right now we wanted to change it up a little bit, or the instructors, I know they wanted to change it up a bit. Right. So we danced to music from a sushi restaurant by Harry Styles. Yeah,
which is not really a contemporary song. So.
No, we were just trying to do something a little different, and I think it was interesting. The choreography was funny. Elena was putting it together, and she's like, "You're fish, you're sushi. Like, you don't like this. You're seaweed." So that was the whole. That was the whole choreography.
That was so funny, especially at the beginning. Like anybody who knows that song, like the beginning part is like like the whole thing, like kind of that interlude at the beginning. And that's what she wanted us to be sushi, because we were just kind of like we were swimming. We were just kind of like that. It was really funny. But that was a fun song to do. And like you said, to kind of switch it up, even though it's not a like contemporary song. It was fun to kind of do contemporary moves to that song. So yeah, I agree. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good final class for now.
Exactly.
So that was the end of that. And then this has kind of been transcendent of the months we've been working on our formation group dance. So we have that class after, just rehearsing that, and that is going to continue for the next few weeks. That was the end of Monday. Tuesday, I know neither of us were able to make it, but I think it was the West Coast Swing.
Yeah, West Coast Swing,
West Coast Swing.
I was planning on going, but I just missed it by accident. Like I was telling you, it's just like the classes for Tuesdays for like the last 5-6 months have been 7:40. So I just automatically showed up at 7:40 and they're like, "Oh, class is over." And I was like, "What?" And then I looked, and then it was like, "Oh, okay." So I know for next week. That was just really funny. And I was like, "Okay."
Oh gosh, well at least now you know for next week.
No, exactly.
I wasn't planning to go to that one, just because I know we've talked about before. It's like I can only go so many days.
Exactly.
I came home so I could watch all the Paradise episodes
right.
on Tuesday and some Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday we don't have classes, and then today, Thursday, we had our first hip hop class in like around 6 months since the last time we had the hip hop class, and we did the song Dua Lipa by Jack Harlow. I remembered the name of the song.
Yeah, it's like exactly.
We were joking. We're like, or Elena was saying,
I don't expect you to know the song or something like that.
Yeah, she didn't expect us to know the song, but she's like, you better know the name of the song, because we were talking about the song is called Dua Lipa by Jack Harlow. So we did that, and it was really fun. Good. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good choreography. It was really fast.
It was really fast. Oh my god! And that's the thing with hip hop, and that's another thing when we end up talking about, like, when a lot of people, we've talked about this before in like past episodes when we've been recapping Dancing with the Stars. When a lot of times people will come on and be like, "Oh my gosh, that person has dance experience. It's not fair," and everything like that. Like, we haven't done hip hop in 6 months, and I haven't done hip hop much, like personally, since the last hip hop class. Yeah. It took me a while to get back into it. It was so difficult because of how fast it is, and even during the warm up, like we were doing. So it took a while to get into, but it was really fast. But it was a lot of fun. It was a fun song to do, like choreography too.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. We have actually the other Thursday class, sorry, we did have the second Thursday class. How could I forget? The body position and frame class that David taught. It was for our body position and frame in the smooth and standard dances, which, if you've been listening, you've been hearing us talk a lot about that for Dancing with the Stars, and also just like in our own dancing. And since I am competing standard at the competition in 2 weeks, yes, it's in 2 weeks, I need to keep working on that. So it's good to just have a class, and David did say it's going to be more of an instruction and technique
Question
and
and answer
explaining
class.
it
Yeah.
than really like practicing dancing and whatnot. So
it was interesting because that class was not originally supposed to be on the schedule. When we did Foxtrot last week for our smooth class that I talked about, David kind of just had it in his mind, like he said in the middle of the class, oh, we should do, I should ask Elena if we can do a body positioning / frame class.
Yeah.
And then when she released the schedule, it came out. So I think that's pretty cool that like he ended up getting that class. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so since this Thursday and next Thursday we have these 2 Thursday classes, and then the next 2 weeks we're going to have one Thursday is the competition, and then the next Thursday is Thanksgiving. We're only going to have two of the sets of the Thursday classes, and then 2 of the sets of the Monday classes. So because it like flip-flops, and then and then I know then tomorrow they're doing on Friday the Fancy Footwork Friday, which I will not be able to partake in.
I'm excited to see what Yuri does for it, which is going to be really fun. I'm excited.
Yes.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 Monday, like once we get rid of the choreography class for Mondays and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if hip hop and body positioning the frame class gets also pushed to December, since it's only 2 weeks. Like I feel like it would make sense to them to be like, oh, okay, get a full month out of this in December. So I feel like that would make sense. But
thinking about that, because we're also gonna like lose people for the holidays and stuff. I might have to take some extra time, but we'll just see what happens beyond the competition. And then, so we didn't get to experience the November Monday classes yet, but next, that's actually the thing. So we're not going to have the Monday classes as written in the schedule until after the competition. So it's supposed to be bachata and salsa.
Yes,
we were going over this.
And I love how exactly. And I love how in the schedule they really they categorize what it is, like the specific things, because it says party salsa and then it says bachata and then in parentheses sensual. So I just think it's like so funny.
That's the name of the class, is bachata sensual.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I just love how I just love how they specific, they actually specify that. I think that's really funny, but hey, that's awesome.
So but we pretty much the main thing that we're going to have for the rest of the time before the competition is the preparation for the formation dance. So this week we only had the 1 lesson. I know next week we're going to start having doubles. So so that was really it from the group classes, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I don't think so. I'm just excited to see what we do, because like I said, the new classes we had were a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see those continue. And I'm really happy we got to do, like I said, the contemporary and arm styling and stuff like that. Those were a lot of fun. So I'm happy with all the group classes that have been recently.
Okay. And then, so this kind of also goes into our preparation for the competition. So for me, I just had a double lesson with David today. So we did 2.5 rounds in total, but we went through all 5 of my standard dances. And Elena actually just watched for a little bit to give me some critiques just on some things that she noticed. And I have my post-its are in my purse that she took notes on everything. That's but like David typically does with me for the competitions, he tries to pick on a few things of these are the things we're going to make sure you do for the competition. And for last year, the last time I competed standard back in March, a lot of what I was working on was just I think I said last week in the podcast about the xiphoid process.
Yes.
Part of your sternum.
Right.
And it's with connecting with the frame and as we were talking about in the group class today, and just stretching over in this position.
Right.
And that is, it's a little bit more ingrained for me now, and just a lot with my footwork, but it's more about the energy in my frame, and then stretching my posture, and then also what did he say today? Pushing more with my standing legs, so that way I can carry, my steps a little bit bigger and make it stronger that way. So those are some of the main things that I'll be just working on, making sure that I have at the competition. I know when I do tango, I have to turn my head quickly and whip my head. And last time when I competed, my earring actually fell out. So we'll see the running joke is if I don't lose an earring, I didn't whip my head fast enough. So we'll see what happens. But I had the double lesson with David today, and then I had the hip hop class, and then I had the body position and frame, and then I came home, and now here we are. So I had a lot of lessons today. So that's really it. I have a double lesson again with him next week, and then it's just going to be, organizing my things, getting the heat sheets together. I didn't get to run as much this week, unfortunately, but I did do a little bit that at least feel like my stamina to get through the rounds wasn't abysmal. So
Yeah,
I feel pretty prepared. There's just a lot
that's
going
awesome.
on between now and the competition. But how about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I know pretty much the same. I haven't gotten a chance to run much, like you said, for me either this week. I've walked a lot, but not like I kind of just more walked throughout my neighborhood, which I think is still good. So I'm happy about that. I've still been doing I did cardio 2 days this week, hoping to do another day of cardio either tomorrow or over the weekend. And that's helped out with my stamina. So that's been kind of my non-dance preparation. But in terms of my dance preparation, I had my usual Monday lesson with Elena on Monday, and it was cool just because Elena, we ended up doing we split my lesson half and half, just because she said that would work better for her schedule for this week, because my lesson's usually in the evening, right after the last class, the second group class. And she said, "Oh, can you come at 6?" And I had said, because I was doing stuff for Halloween in the afternoon, so I thought it would be, I was able to get to 6:30, and so I got there at 6:30, and we did our rounds. We did, I think, 2 or 3 rounds of Latin for the first 25 minutes of our lesson before contemporary. And then and I felt really good. I was so sweaty afterwards because, as you know, Latin's so it just takes a lot of energy out of you. And that's why I'm really working on my stamina, because I'm gonna have to be doing 31 dances of Latin on this Sunday. So that's going to be after doing 2 dances the night before. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's what I did. And then after group class, we worked on the rest of our lesson. The second half of our lesson, we worked on my showcase, which was really cool. And we officially got to the end of it. And now we finished officially. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited about it. We officially got through the end of it, and we practiced it all the way up till the last 15-20 seconds of it, and then she still has to kind of show me my parts of that. But we've got through the whole dance. I think the showcase dances can only be at 2.5 minutes. That's the maximum that you can do. And I think we practiced all the way up to 2:10 in the dance. So we got most of it done in terms of practicing it all the way through. So I'm really excited for us to finish and practice the last 20 seconds of it, and then we can just really put the two together and just have the whole routine done. Because Elena was we just got to really work on this, really work on this, because like you said, it's crazy to even think, but we're at the end of this week. It's Thursday, the day we're recording this, and when we're at next week, it's going to be a week and a half till the competition, which is crazy.
Well, I'm 2 weeks out because I'm competing on a Thursday.
Right, that's exactly right. Yeah,
in 2 weeks, I'm already going to be done.
It's crazy. I know, it's insane. So this Sunday will be 2 weeks until I do Latin, and then Saturday is the team match / showcase. But yeah, so we worked on our showcase, and Elena, we just really got to work on this over and over again, just so we have it done, because obviously the showcase, you only get to do it one time. So and that time is the most important, because you're doing it in front of everybody. So, but I'm really excited for that. Like I had said last week, the choreography and the story Elena came up with is so fantastic. So I'm really excited to see kind of what that ends up being performing it in front of people, especially like I had said before, it's a really personal / emotional story I'm telling. So I'm excited to see kind of how I kind of become vulnerable that night with it. And I was actually watching the video back of us practicing on Monday, and we were getting into it. I was actually surprised of how much I was getting into the story of it, even because, especially since I had only done the dance for a week. So I thought that was really cool. So we did that. And then just like you said, next week and the following week's gonna be the same thing, just doing the rounds, continuing doing the rounds. I think because Elena, especially what she's been telling me with my Latin and our Latin routines, pretty much the arm styling is the way she wants it to be for me, and the legs are pretty much the way the leg work she wants, and the footwork is the way she wants it to be for me. We still are working a little bit on our me straightening my legs a little bit, for obviously Latin, that's what is required, and what they're looking for usually is a straight leg. And so we've been working on that a little bit more, but it's pretty close to being where we want it to be for competition level, which is good. Now I think it's just pretty much just stamina wise, especially when we get to jive, because that's the last dance of the round. And then the good thing is that I'm not doing paso this competition, so it's at least I get a little break, because paso is in between samba and jive. So it's nice. I do no, it's between rumba and jive, but it's nice because I'll get to do like a cool down dance with rumba and have a break when I'm not doing paso, and then have a little bit, like I'll have a little break before I do jive, so that'll be nice. But we're just working on doing the dance over and over and over again, so I know that I feel comfortable, like in terms of doing the routines over and over and over again. And we've been like switching our places on our studio floor, because that's what you do in the actual competition, is you switch places on the floor after you bow and stuff like that. And so that's fun. We've been doing that, and that's what I've just been continuing working on, and I'm really excited to see kind of for that to come to fruition and everything like that, especially since I'm been doing the routines in my new Latin shoes for the last 2 weeks, and it still feels weird performing in them because they're like an inch higher heel than my practice shoes. I'm not used to being up that high. So especially I would say in the triple steps in my jive, it feels really weird to do that in my Latin shoes because you're up so high. But I've been getting used to it. So yeah, I know that's a lot, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you were saying, we just really want to make sure we're prepared and ready for the competition since it's so close to now. So yeah, I'm really excited, but that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, when you came earlier on Monday, I was in my lesson with Yuri because I am not competing a lot in this competition, but I'll probably do it in March, and we're changing my choreography and we're working on a lot of my performance and all. Everything. I know that I've been talking about that a lot, but it's funny because then when you were doing the rounds, you were like, let's do a round. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's right. That was so fun. I remember that.
And then it was funny because then we did, the cha-cha. We were working on cha-cha the most of the lesson because we're like fixing my arms and the thing and my shoulders and all this, and like really trying to drill that. And that choreography staying the same. The samba was new, so we rehearsed it. The rumba was like, it's staying the same. The paso is staying the same. We haven't done it. And then he had changed some of my jive, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I totally blanked on what the new jive is. And he's like, we're gonna do the old jive. We're getting the old jive.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh my gosh, but we did it. And it was funny because I think Cynthia was there watching, and it's like watching a competition, like you and I were both practicing Latin out there.
Exactly. We all like, she was like cheering us on and stuff like that. So that was fun. But that's why I remember that. It's like when we and I were doing the round, I saw you guys doing your round too. So I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, next week I think I have them after the group classes, so you might still be there doing your showcase or something. But I was like, if you guys do a round, I don't know if you're gonna make me do a round again.
No, we'll probably will do a round because my lesson, is at 8:30, so it'll be after class. So yeah.
I'll be there for 8:30.
Okay, awesome. So we've been like trying to split up half and half, like half rounds, half showcase, just so we can get both done. So
yeah, when I did my round with David today, I think that's the thing that I think we did one round last week when I had him, and it's just because for standard it's waltz, oh my gosh, here we go, waltz, tango, Viennese waltz, foxtrot, quick step, in that order. And that was the thing, is that sometimes like my waltz, the beginning of my waltz and the beginning of my quick step, they're not similar, but they used to be. So then when I go to the quick step, I was like messing up, because quick step is like my most new choreography, and I kept messing it up.
I was about to ask that. I was like, do you have a favorite out of the of your routines now, or ones that are like, oh, I feel comfortable with this? Obviously, like we keep learning and anything like that, everything like that. But do you have a favorite?
I think we made a few minor adjustments to tango just so it fits on that floor, but I think I'm the most comfortable with tango just because I've done that one the longest. Like one of the coaches came and choreographed that the beginning of the year, like I think February.
Oh, okay.
So the one guy, Igor, so he came and he could choreograph that for us, like back, I think it was like February that he came.
Oh, wow.
And I've had that one. So I think that one, except I messed up one of the steps today when we were showing Elena. And I was like, what? I've done this for almost a full year. I don't know. That was just weird. But
that's the thing that ends up happening, is that if you have people watching, I end up messing up too. So
I like my change that we made to Viennese waltz because it's so hard to change anything. That it's just cool that I have some extra thing in there that it's like, wow, look at me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I like the changes we made to quick step, because the one thing that we had I could only do when I was in an open heat was the bullet, which is that thing when I like hop down the floor, which I haven't even spoken to David about.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do it at the competition if I get an open heat. But we did change the Hazel did help change the choreography for my quick step the last time she was here. So I like it now. I think it just, I needed to drill it in my mind, because you just have to change between one dance to the other dance to the other dance. So it's like remembering the steps and then changing the tone and the personality of each of the dances. So that is something to practice in itself. So that's,
it really is.
As you can see, like it's good to practice the rounds too. So.
Exactly. It totally is, especially because I know we've talked about this in the past, especially when you're at the actual competition, because the heats in between or in the round, you only get like a 10 to 15 second break in between each dance. It's not that long. Like they're just like, okay, thank you, couples, and then they say, again, your next here's your next dance, and then it's like 10 seconds where you have to get ready for the next dance in the round. And like you were saying, the personality, the choreography, and the kind of this muscle memory of each dance is completely different. So that's something you kind of have, that's like the muscle memory you have to build into practicing, because it's so difficult if you're not like ready for the next dance, because all of them are so different.
Well, even when I was doing Latin at the last competition, it's like sometimes you go through all 5 and then I don't have a break, I'm in the next heat, and then I do all 5 again, and then you have another break, and it's like you just go like 5. So I'm doing 15 dances in a row, and our instructors on top of it, especially more in my case because my instructor, the guy that's leading, so you know, like David's going to be dancing with both Cynthia and I on the standard day, so her choreography is different than my choreography, so he could be like back to back, whatever, finish my quick step, and then he goes to her and then does the waltz, and then her waltz is different than my waltz, so he's got to like switch. So I think the thing that I always, and I say this to them all the time, like to Yuri and to David, and it's something that I actually I might remind David, like, well, I don't know, standard's a little bit different than Latin, but sometimes I'm like, just practice doing different things with me, like not the actual choreo, because sometimes it's going to happen. They're going to have like a little bit of a brain fart and they forget the choreography, and I need to be better at just like following and not just doing the choreography verbatim all the time, because you know, especially with standards, sometimes you have to adjust with people on the floor so you don't whack into them. So I think I have to also train that to just be like, I have to just follow what he's doing and not be so set of like, okay, the next step is this, you know. So I think sometimes it's good to just practice following. And they have that Jack and Jill competition too, that
would be so difficult. I oh my gosh, it'd be so difficult for me.
You're not doing it, are you?
I'm not doing that. I'd like to at some point, but it seems so difficult, especially like you said, because
I've done it before.
Oh, really? How is it?
I mean, it's different for me. I don't know how it is for the guys, but I think the thing with the girls, like, so the last time I did it was at the hotel, obviously, where we're at, but in the upstairs room. It was the last team match we did in 2019. It was one of the instructors from Midtown at the time. He was there. I don't think he's with the studio anymore, but he was one of the Midtown instructors, and they were joking. They were like, okay, first dance, bolero. They were joking. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? But it was Latin. So they did cha-cha, samba, rumba, and you just kind of had to follow whatever he did. And I did okay. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the same as when you're doing the same choreography, but it's kind of just testing your depth of following the steps and like adapting to dancing with a different partner. So that's why I guess they call it Jack and Jill.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I guess with the guys, like, you're leading, so the instructor should be able to follow, but I guess it's testing how well you're leading.
Exactly.
For me, it's testing how well I'm following.
No, exactly. And that's the thing, is that you get used to your instructor in terms of like either you leading them or you following them. And so like, I feel like that would be like, it takes some getting used to, because you kind of build that repertoire with your instructor, like the comfortability and the kind of just like the frequency that you keep going over and over with the technique and the choreography with them, so you're used to dancing with them. So I think that would be really difficult. And like you said, that's what Jack and Jill is, if people don't know, is that like you get to dance with your instructor for a few rounds or a few dances, and then they pair you up with another instructor from Dance With Me, like just at random, and you have to like follow or lead them, which is like crazy. But that's going back to what you were saying with David and Yuri, is that like, especially because really the first time I saw it was in July at AODC, and it was crazy because, especially on Latin Day, the day you were competing, because I saw Yuri and Milos both doing and David, because he was in it, like all three of our guy instructors at our studio, they all dance. Like David dances with people mostly from Glen Rock, our studio, but then Milos usually dances like half at Glen Rock and half at some of the city locations, and then obviously Yuri, Glen Rock, and Fort Lee. So like with them, they didn't have many breaks. Like Yuri would get off the floor with you, then he'd go on the floor with somebody else, then he'd get off
Yeah.
the floor with that
Yeah.
person, and
Yeah.
it just go back and forth. Like I swore probably Milos and Yuri had like 5 to 6 people on Latin Day that they were dancing with. I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
crazy to me.
It's
Like
a
it's
lot.
just that's insane.
It's a lot. And I think the one thing that I was just thinking of that was funny, because at the March competition,
Right.
I mean, I had like an impromptu Jack and Jill because David thought it would be funny to just take one of the Stanford students and instructors, and he was just like, "Oh, you want to swap?" So I danced with the instructor, and then she danced with David, and for Viennese waltz. So like, there's not, again, like I said, there's not much like choreography change.
Yeah.
And they he just like literally the music was starting and they're like, "Here, swap," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So but apparently I think his name was Sasha, he told David that I did well, I followed well, so I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you."
That's awesome. It was the same thing with because I did rhythm team match. I didn't do Jack and Jill, but I did rhythm team match in March as well. I only
Yeah.
did 2 dances, but like I said, those I learned the routine the night before Friday night. I competed Saturday because I thought I was competing Sunday. I've told
Yeah.
that to you before, but it ended up being Saturday afternoon. And I've never done rhythm like kind of professionally or personally since then. So it was really
Yeah.
funny to me to like do a whole new style at
Yeah.
that time during that. So yeah, it's pretty fun, but it's really, really like crazy.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Oh,
Okay, so I think that's everything. We're going to have more to talk about for competition prep in the next few weeks,
yep.
but do you want to get started on Dancing with the Stars?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, so why don't we stick with the format we've been doing? If you want to start with your honorable mentions, then the top dances, and then I will hold off on discussing anything about the elimination to later.
Yes, because we both
Also the
know
team
a lot of,
dances too.
exactly. Of course, everybody knows we have a lot of opinions on that. So
Oh yeah,
but that's going to be a pretty big discussion. So if everybody, as everybody knows, it was Halloween night and it was really fun. They did so much stuff with it. So
Yeah.
it's fun to see. I thought it was a really cool, like they went all out with like the production and staging and stuff like that. So it was really, really fun.
So who was your first honorable mention?
So my first honorable mention, and actually, like I had said, my list is a little different this week than yours, but I'm sure we'll end up overlapping, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But my first, let's see. So my first honorable mention was Daniel and Britt, and they did a Paso Doble, and, and I was really excited to see him do Paso because like he's so like happy and smiley every time
Yeah.
like obviously he's gotten into like the Latin dance, and even in his tango week one, he has that fierceness you could see, but he's always kind of happy and smiling and everything like that and laughing and stuff. So I was excited to see him get into like the Paso like mentality. So that was fun to see. Because like I said, it was so different than his actual personality. And like they had said in the package, they didn't get much rehearsal time. So that's probably really difficult for him. So I thought he did really well, like based on that. And I thought overall it was a really good dance. Again, just like the last few, almost every single week, he's gotten in character really, really well. That's something he's always done great. I felt like what the judges said were good. I felt like his moves were pretty sharp. Maybe they could have been sharper in some movements, especially like in the foot or leg action. But I thought overall it was really good. Britt's choreo has so much Paso content that I love to see. It was just really creative, especially with the theme, kind of like the whole inside a game thing. I thought that was really cool, especially since they were kind of all, some of the moves were somewhat robotic, and because it was meant to be like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. It fit the theme. Just like I had said, the idea was very clever. I thought the footwork overall was decent. I agreed about what Bruno was saying that he only had the timing was really well. Like he did the timing really well. Like he only, like I think Bruno said he only missed like one step in terms of the musicality again, which is so impressive, especially the paso, like being so aggressive, and the footwork is not easy. So with him not being able to hear, I really do commend him for that. I think it's been something he's really, really been great at over the competition. And my last note on it was, or I have two more, but his musicality, just like I was saying before, is so impressive. And you can really see that he puts in the work week after week after week. So that's really, really awesome to see. And I think that makes it really easy to cheer for him because it's like you can see how much he cares. So I thought it was a really good dance overall.
Yeah, I didn't also make the note. I know he got sick a little bit at the beginning of the week, so he had to miss I think it was like at least one day of rehearsal.
Yeah.
But he did really well. And I know like Carrie Ann was being picky, I think, but
I know.
she's trying to do that, I think, at this rate to really be trying to give them else something else to work on and to improve on. So I think I think she means well. I think sometimes not for Daniel per se, but I think sometimes Len is a little more
outspoken,
blunt in how he's saying things, which doesn't always come across well. But no, but I thought Daniel did really well, and I agree. It was cool to see him do paso because it is like such a stronger dance, and it was a nicer, and I like the concept they had too for the whole dance.
That was really cool.
I thought it was good. I definitely was in my honorable mentions as well, and I did actually just add somebody else to my top dance as well. I was just like skimming my notes.
Good, awesome.
I was supposed to have 4, not 3.
No, exactly. That's what I ended up doing. Is like because my original thing was 4 and 3. But then I was like, oh, I like this dance way too much to have it in my tops, or have it in my honorable. So I moved it to the tops, and now I have 5 and 2. But and I actually thought like because he got 2 8s and 2 9s, I thought I would have given another 9 in my opinion. But like again, the Len and Carrie Ann, who were the 2 that gave him the 8s, they're a little bit more of the pickier judges, I guess. So that kind of makes sense. But overall, I thought it was fair. So I really am proud of him and love the dance.
Yeah, same. Okay, who else did you have for honorable mention?
So this is my last honorable mention, but and I think you said you had the same. I think we talked about this, so this might be similar. Was Jordan and Brandon, and they did a tango, and I thought it was really, really clever. The idea, it was awesome. And I remember you were posting about this on our story, and we were talking about this. That the bar in the rehearsal they were using, like we use that in our studio all the time. It's really funny. And so I just thought that was a funny hint that like, hey, we do that too. So that was really cool. Because obviously, like we were talking about in group class, frame and body position, everything is not easy at all. So it's so difficult. So that thing does come in handy, but holding your frame is very, very tiring, as people might not know. So it definitely is. So I thought that was kind of a funny little side note. I thought her frame and arm, like her arms were much, much better. I think they've been working on them a long time, which is awesome to see. Just like Bruno had said, her balance and her turn, she has no problems with anymore. Like you could like we were talking about in her quick step on week 2 during Elvis night. And that's what Bruno was really saying, hey, work on your turns and balance, because when she was kind of doing the pivots in quick step and different like turns and stuff like that, you can see she was kind of like a little wobbly on her feet. Now you can't see any of that. It's like all smooth and clean and crisp and everything like that. And so that's so much better. And I'm so happy for her about that. I thought just like every week, her characterization and storytelling is always like top tier. It's awesome to see. She's such a good performer, which obviously we know she has that kind of aspect down. The outfits were awesome. I thought it was cool having Brandon in the Jack Skellington thing. That was so awesome to see. And that was I thought it was a really difficult song to dance to. It didn't have a really tango type beat to it. It was really just it really wasn't to me. So I felt like she did really well in terms of like that difficulty of the song, and it didn't really fit tango much either. The routine was very fun, and I thought it was one of her best dances for me, in my opinion. I agreed with Bruno and Derek that the consistency and the technique is like she's getting better and better every week, and you can see that she's really putting in the work, just like we said with Daniel. And I remember Carrie Ann was saying, I forgot what she said, because she said something like, I think she said, I'd like to see more from you again. I think she kept saying that, because I said I agree with Carrie Ann's comments to an extent, but I don't remember what she said. I think it might have been about the like expression, kind of that she talks about that a lot, but I feel that can't be the case because she's so good performing wise. It had to be something more about technique, but I feel like overall the technique was great and the performance aspect was good. I thought it was an overall great tango, and I'm very happy for her.
Yeah, I agree. I thought her frame was much better. It was her best dance so far.
Yeah.
I had a note about the arm contraption that she had. David's made me use that too when we're going over the frame, and I was like, oh my gosh, David has that thing.
Yeah.
I forgot if David actually saw the story that I posted. I'll have to go check.
I think he might have. I could be wrong. But...
Or maybe you replied. I don't know. I'll have to go.
I think I might have, but
maybe that's why I didn't notice it. But either way, yeah, I thought the dance was so interesting and it was so good, and I was just so happy for her. And as we know, she does get eliminated later on, and we'll reserve all of our thoughts for later, but her performance was great. I thought it was a really good dance.
Exactly. I'm actually surprised she didn't get 110, because she got 36 all night. I thought Bruno maybe would have gave her a 10, especially since he didn't seem to have any issues with it. But I thought it deserved at least 110. That's just my opinion, but I thought overall it was a really good dance, just like you had
I
said.
think they were trying to work her up to a 10, but now
Yes, no, that
now that's
I know.
done. But
Yeah, I know. So that's it from our. So if you want to go on with your next.
Okay, so the other honorable mentions, and they're probably people that you had on your top dances, so
Yes.
we're probably going over the same 7 people. Okay. Oh, so all right, yes, because I just made that last switch. So this is a shocker for me, was Wayne and Whitney. I had them as an honorable mention just because I felt like the other dances were a lot stronger from the other contestants that I put in the top. So like by process of elimination, you can determine. So he did the contemporary, and I mean, let me tell you, I love the concept. It was really great. It was great. I thought it was just, you know, it was so interesting, and I forgot what exactly it was. I know they were kind of like cyborgs.
Yeah, the cyborgs, and they did like that EDM version of how the Halloween theme or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I mean. It was so great. I think I've seen better from him. And I forgot which judge said it, but I think one of them said that they felt like some of the choreography that was like a little redundant, and it just kind of repeat. I feel like somebody said that. I don't remember.
I do too. I think it might have been Carrie Ann, but I could be wrong.
It could be Carrie Ann or Len. I think it was one of the two of them. Yeah. And I did kind of agree with that, because I think it's just as good as it was. I just kind of was hoping that I would have enjoyed watching the dance more.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still really great. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's nailed it so many weeks that it's like not every dance is going to be my favorite. I think this was like oh no, actually last week he was honorable mention too.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't feeling well.
He didn't have much time to do the quick step. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he was kind of like beating up on himself a little bit in the intro package or for this week of just, you know, having like the previous week not done as well. And I think Whitney did make a point that it's just that it's, you know, I think people will realize that it doesn't just come easily to you, that you do still have to work to maintain it. And I think that's totally valid point. And I think just from the like his health and like longevity in the competition, I still do think he made the right decision by resting those days last week that he did, because I think just, you know, this is intense. This is a lot of work. So it's like you have to take some days, because otherwise he could have been even worse this week if he pushed himself too much last week and didn't do it. So, I don't think it was a step down, really. I just feel like more people stepped up, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So what did you have about his dance? I'm assuming you have him in your top.
Yeah. He was in my top, and I was the same with you. I almost put him in my honorable mention too, because of your same kind of logic, but and what you were thinking. But I thought it was it was a step up from last week. Again, I didn't think it was a step down, so that's why I put it in my top. And it was so funny because that song wasn't really a contemporary song. Just kind of like when we were talking about our last contemporary class this week, that wasn't really a contemporary song either. No. And especially with the choreography this time, especially when they were kind of doing the robotic moves and they were all doing that kind of stuff, it could have easily been a hip hop dance, especially with it kind of being that like I said, the EDM and techno kind of music. It could have easily been a hip hop dance, because they had some hip hop like steps and like jazz steps in there and stuff like that. So I thought it was cool they called it contemporary, but I saw a comment on YouTube of the dance that said if they called it jazz or hip hop, it might have maybe been a little bit received a little bit better because it fit the song, because it was really fast contemporary. But I'm like, I'm so happy to see him like back in front again, or like one of the top on the leaderboard again, because that was really awesome to see. Or at the top of the leader, or one of the top. And so I'm happy to see that. Like I just said, it was really fast contemporary, so it was funny to see that. It was cool to see the kind of, I thought the choreography was very, very, very creative, and just like you said, the concept was really cool too. He played the character like every week, just like he does, always so great. The performance quality, as always, was great. And they were really in sync. I noticed that too, and it was really cool. And his movements were really sharp, just like the song was. So I thought that was really cool. And I remember, I think Carrie Ann said it. She said the choreography was very detailed, and I agreed with that. I agree with you. I wouldn't say, but I think it's, again, just like we had talked about before, like when Heidi did her Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and when we've seen all that kind of stuff, it's hard to kind of judge jazz and contemporary and stuff like that against, like, obviously they're very moving and stuff, and they're very moving and compelling and emotional dances, and fun. but it's hard to kind of put them up like with technique wise with like smooth standard Latin, just because like they're completely different technique wise. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, it wasn't his best, and because like he did really good, but it's hard to say because like obviously I feel like some of his Latin smooth dances were better, just in terms of technique. But it's hard to say because like you said, you kind of judge contemporary jazz, all that kind of stuff, hip hop, differently than like the actual ballroom dances. So it's just kind of hard to say that. But I thought overall it was a great dance. His performance quality, like what he said, every week is great. And I'm happy to see, like you said, I completely agree. I'm happy he kind of put his health like at the forefront rather than kind of pushing it and maybe making it worse. So I'm happy about that. And I feel like the scores were fair, the 3 9s and a 10. Because I think that he at least deserved 110 for that. And so I'm glad he got at least 110. I'm excited to see what he does next week. He's always killing it. So it was awesome to see.
All right. So who did you have for the top dances? Or who do you want to talk about next? Because
exactly.
all the same.
Exactly. Are you done with your honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And this is, like I said, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna save the most shocking for last. So I'll go from the top down because like you'll probably know who I'm talking about. So let's start with Gabby. And so as most people probably know, if people were watching the show or fans of the show, Gabby didn't dance with Val this week because he tested positive. But from what I've heard, he's doing good. So I'm obviously happy to hear that, and hopefully he'll be back either next week or the following week. I know that when Daniela missed and Alexis came in for her, Daniela missed 2 weeks. For that timing. The timing. So I'm interested to see if Val comes back next week or if he comes back the following week. But I'm glad to hear that he's doing okay. But I thought Alan did a fantastic job like filling in. He was so good, and he's always been one of my favorite male pros. So it was awesome to see that. And so, like I said, I'm really happy to see Alan dance again this season because he just got voted last week with Jesse. So it was awesome to see him come back. And just like the last few weeks, she's been getting into character and really emoting throughout the dance. I thought she really got into character, and it was so awesome to see. And the emotion in the storytelling was great. I absolutely loved it. Her leg movement was so sharp and precise and powerful. And obviously Argentine tango kind of calls for that. So I thought it was great. The choreography by Val was absolutely fantastic. It was so good and so creative, especially how they like moved like around the table and then they went to the other side of the stage and stuff. I just thought they incorporated the entire floor so well. I agreed with Bruno that that song was actually somewhat faster for Argentine tango. And just like he said, her ganchos were so clean and crisp. And he was just hitting them precisely so great. And so I completely agree with what Bruno was saying about that. It was so amazing. And I remember that Len and Derek were saying, oh, I saw like a little misstep there. I think I might have saw it too, but I didn't really know if it was a mess up or not. But when they had like that really fast, like kind of like switching leg motion, I felt like I saw one little thing where her leg kind of like went back, but it was for like a millisecond. And maybe they just caught that. So
they're getting picky now.
They're very picky now, so they're going to catch everything. I think I noticed what they meant, but obviously it was so small that it wasn't like, it's not going to completely derail my opinion about it. It was so good. I'm so proud of her, and it was great. And I was just saying, I was like, man, Alfonso just can't catch a break with like these with Gabby's partners. It's because with Val last week coming up and putting his face on his chest, and then Alan now spinning Alfonso this week. So I thought it was really funny. And he like, scores. And that was so funny. And she got 2 10s and 2 9s. So I was happy about that. I actually probably personally would have given another 10, but I'm really happy for her and thought it was a fantastic dance.
Yeah, I agree. I was so, obviously, I think we actually, when we recorded last week's episode, we knew. So this was like, we were actually able to see, like we knew about Val and that Alan was going to step in. So I was happy to see the dance came out really well. Like it looked like Val choreographed most of it. So my hunch is the timeline is probably going to be that maybe like Alan starts training her for this next week, and then either she'll dance with Val come Monday, or unless they just kind of like have Val step in and she'll still do the dance with Alan on Monday. And then Val will like maybe just be there for rehearsal and then just like let out like that way. I don't know, it depends on the dates and how their timeline is, if it's like a full week or if it's 10 days, because Daniela tested positive like on camera blocking day.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah, exactly. Because I
So
remember
it was like, if you
yeah,
think Sunday to Sunday, they
yeah,
obviously, she
exactly.
wasn't going to be ready to compete with Joseph again the next Monday.
That's
But
yeah, that's why Alexis danced with Joseph 2 weeks.
yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. So I think we'll see. Yeah, it was amazing. The whole dance was amazing. I love the concept. They're like, we're gonna go get dinner with our dinner.
No, I know that was so
The
cool. I love
vampires.
that.
And I think, and then that's what I just laughed when Gabby said that, uh, like about, or Alfonso made the comment about like, no, I was told I can't put my ear on your chest. And then she was saying he's sweatier than Val, if you can believe it. And I do, because Alan always puts on his stories about like when he goes for a run and he's like dripping with sweat, and
I
then his
know.
shirt will be absolutely soaked.
I know.
And he's just laughing because he puts it all over social media. So I
Exactly.
was just, oh my gosh, but they're really trying to get Alfonso. But
Exactly. I know.
one other thing to note about Gabby, just because obviously we are tied with the Bachelor stuff and it just seems like the appropriate time to mention it. I do know that there was a video circulating of how, I believe it was Fox News, did like they pulled her after the event and then they did ask her about her relationship with Eric, and we're like freaking out now because she did say that we have a lot going on right now and we're supporting each other from afar. And it's just sad because I think, of course, like I see something somebody posted and they're like, oh, well, do you think something's going on with Alan now? And I was like, why are you saying that?
No, I know.
I mean, like, give the girl her space. And I mean, kudos to her for being able to answer it in such a poised way, because like if they are having an issue, she was able to keep her composure and she's still doing well with the competition and all that. So, they'll address it in the right time if that's the situation. I mean, I hope everything goes okay with, yeah, I hope everything's okay with her and Eric. But you know what? At the end of the day, we want Gabby to be happy. So
yeah, exactly.
I think I could speak for both of us with that. So right. It's just like, of course, they got to do the clickbait thing. And it was weird because I think I kind of noticed how last week Eric wasn't there. And then before this happened, I was kind of looking at her Instagram, like, has she had any pictures?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't really post, like, I'm not going to post that on our story of our podcast page on Instagram. Exactly. That's sometimes like if I'm interested, I will do my own research and look at it, and maybe you and I will discuss it offline. Exactly. I don't want to make a whole thing of it, but this is like obviously somebody interviewed her and addressed it. So that's the only reason I bring it up, because
I know. Oh my gosh, I obviously she wasn't engaged and Gabby is, but like they're trying to make this into the whole freaking Alan and Alexis Ren thing all over again. And
that was just, I mean, I don't think the show is,
show's not doing it, but it's more kind of like, oh, they're like whatever.
No, I think they pushed it. I mean, we were just like, I just would love to see like Alan and Gabby dance together, because I just feel like personality wise, that's why I was joking, like, how are they going to
right? They're so similar too,
because they're going to be laughing and goofing off, but like, Alan knows how to be serious and Gabby knows how to be serious. Right. But I think that was just it was just funny, but like, they have a good camaraderie. So
yeah, I thought it was a great dance. Like,
yeah. Okay, anyway, I digressed with that Bachelor related item. Okay, on to the next, which was the next one you want to talk about.
Okay, so next for me, I'll say Charlie and Mark. Mm-hmm. And they also did an Argentine tango just like Alan and Gabby. And I really liked Mark's vintage horror movie choreo idea, like the theme. I thought that was really clever. I thought it was so awesome. And like he had said at the beginning of the package, that he had a back injury kind of lingering from the last few weeks. And Pasha came in to kind of do most of the heavy lifting of the rehearsal, and he learned the routine. And Mark was kind of there, kind of staging it and critiquing it. But her and Charlie and Pasha were dancing it in rehearsal together while Mark was just watching. But I'm glad Mark got to dance. I'm really happy about that. But I thought Pasha did a great job from what I could see in the rehearsals. So that was really, really good. Just like we had talked about before, changing partners is so difficult.
Yeah.
And same thing, like we said, with Gabby and Alan. Like we've talked about with us, we kind of danced with the same instructors on our private lessons and compete and stuff like that. And just like Charlie was saying, she's gotten used to dancing with Mark, because especially with me and Elena, and I'm assuming with you and your instructors too, you get used to leading and or following them.
Yeah.
And so when you end up having to change that from somebody you don't know or don't dance with that much, it takes a little bit to kind of get used to it, because you get used to kind of their tendencies if you lead or follow them or whatever.
That's why that Jack and Jill event is meant to be like, a thing.
Yes, exactly.
As we mentioned before. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought overall for that, I mean, that aspect, they've handled that very well. And her legs and frame of movement are so clean and crisp and precise. I thought they were so fantastic. I love the thing at the beginning where she like kind of flipped down on the bed and Mark kind of like levitated her. That was so cool. I thought that was so awesome. And then the storytelling, obviously, with Charlie is always so great, and this wasn't any different. That backwards hand walk, like as the Exorcist, what they were talking about, that was so impressive. That was so cool. Just like Len had said, the Argentine tango content was at an all-time high for that that routine. It was so good. I agreed with Derek that the softer version, obviously Argentine tango is usually very fierce and very powerful, and it has like a lot of like just strength and power to it. And obviously this one had a little bit, obviously that had that like this too, but the song was a little bit softer, so it had a little bit more of a softer kind of vibe to it for Argentine tango. I agreed with Derek that it fit the song and the routine very well. I don't think it lacked anything because of that. So I thought that was great. And then I thought it was so funny when and then Carrie Ann was saying that she still, I think, wanted her to perform a little bit outward more, because I said Carrie Ann's comments are interesting, because she was saying, you're so fantastic and everything, and I don't want to take away from this, but I still kind of want more from you, which I thought were interesting, because I can see that. But like, because I feel like there are times, from what I've seen and I've heard from like other people, Charlie's very shy, like, and I think we all can kind of gather that from her. And so that, I don't think that's like kind of like, it's not surprising that maybe it's a little bit like it takes her a little bit longer maybe emote like in the dances, but she's been really, really great at that. But I can see Carrie Ann's comments like for that aspect to some extent. And I wrote down this note, I'm like, Tyra explaining what a club is to Len. I thought that was so funny. He was like, what are you talking about? That was so hilarious. Yeah. So and they got a 39. I probably would have given it a straight 40, perfect score in my opinion, but I really, really enjoyed it and thought it was really good.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? I think it was good that they had Pasha come in, because I think that's why Mark wanted to just be like, let him like actually teach her the steps and I'll do the choreography and whatnot, and then that way if I can step in, I can step in. So I thought that was good. I agree. I mean, the rest of it was amazing. The whole performance was amazing. I do agree with Carrie Ann's statement. That I just feel like Charlie, now to get to this next level, she really has to put more of the emotion into it. And it's something that I struggle with too, because it's hard. I probably said it in the previous episodes too. It's, there's a certain level of like, you can perform for a crowd and you can do that, and that's fine. But there's another thing when you have to perform and you have to be like with your partner and emotional with your partner to do that. And that can be, because that's something that I'm working on too, that it's kind of just like, okay, it's like, I gotta like focus on him, and I gotta focus on the audience, and then I gotta focus on myself, and then the whole thing. And there's a lot of different factors to put in there. And I think, whereas you see Gabby really, and Gabby's older, she's what, 10 years, like over 10 years older than Charlie. Gabby was even like pushing herself to like be more, like intimate performing with Val, and it is and like Alan, but she's pushed herself, but she's also older and she's more mature. So I think there's still a certain level, I am actually Gabby's age, but I do relate to Charlie in that way, because my life experience is just, it's not the same as Gabby, obviously. I'm older than Charlie, but I think it's still, it's not like an age thing, but Gabby at least has a little more of that maturity to be able to be like, okay, like I'm acting and I'm performing and I'm doing this, so she can kind of push past it. And also like Wayne and Shangela, they have a little bit more of that, because they have the age on their side, they have the experience on their side, they have more of like that acting performative experience, where I think Charlie's still really getting more comfortable being able to put all of her emotions out there. And some are easier than others, because I think that's the same thing that I deal with, is like some performance, like some types of dances, I don't have a problem putting more of my emotion into it, because it's like an easier emotion to convey, but then sometimes it's a little harder. So I think that could be just something that starts to, because now the points are kind of going all over the place. I mean, obviously the team dance split them even more, but as far as the individual scores, you're starting to see more fluctuation amongst them, whereas like Wayne, Charlie, and Gabby were like neck and neck for like weeks and weeks and weeks. I think this could be something that starts to cause Charlie to slip down compared to the other ones, because I think Shangela was top the leaderboard.
Yeah.
At least, I don't know if she still was after they put the team.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She was tied. Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, but I completely agree with you, and kind of like piggybacking off your comment. We know she can do it because, like you said, there's some dancers that can be easier than others to emote and do the performative and the performative aspect and stuff like that. Because we saw her do it in the Foxtrot and her contemporary.
Yeah.
She really played those characters very well. We know she can
different.
do it.
It's not Argentine tango though.
It's not Argentine tango though. Exactly.
It's not the same emotions.
So it's not the same emotion. So we know she can do it. I just think, again, kind of the consistency, as like they've been talking about with other stars, I think is kind of the key for her. But we know she has it in her because we've seen it. Yeah.
It's like she's capable of it. I think it's just block for some of them, but
exactly.
Okay. All right. Who do you have next?
Okay, so next, I will do Sangela and Gleb, and this was so great. Their jazz routine, it was so good, and I thought it was really funny how, like I said last week, I was saying how hallelujah has become like a frequent word in my household now. Now hallaboo has to become a frequent Halloween saying for me now. And so that was really funny. I actually didn't have many notes on this one just because I was so mesmerized by the dance. The concept was so clever. She got so in character. She was so in character so perfectly. They were so in sync. The Gleb's choreography was fantastic. Just like Carrie Ann had said, I agree with Carrie Ann. It was her best dance, maybe besides her tango last week. Like I agree with Carrie Ann also that Gleb's choreo was probably one of his best, hands down, he's ever done. And that makeup was absolutely fantastic. It was so good.
Creepy.
It was so creepy, but it was so good. And then her commentary in the skybox, just like we've always talked about, is great. And her
listen to her talk all the time now.
No, I know, she's so great. Her perfect 40 was absolutely deserved. She deserved every 10, and I'm so happy for her. It was so fantastic.
Same. It was the creepiest dance I think I've ever seen, but it was amazing. And I think, like, even just looking back right now, I think this was like a very real reminder that she could win the whole competition. She could. And I wouldn't be against it. I think either. As we get back to maybe some of the more like Latin and the technical and the other dances, I think the biggest improvement that I would want to make sure that I see from Shangela in the coming weeks is any of her Latin dances to improve on the technique, because like her standard and smooth, she like
is great,
nailed it. Obviously jazz contemporary, she has a little more. I don't think she's done contemporary.
I'm not really sure. I don't know.
It's gonna take me a lot. No, cha-cha. No,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. She hasn't done contemporary, so maybe that will be I mean, maybe it's earlier on. I don't know. I'll stop the list. I don't think she has. I think we would have remembered if it was contemporary. She's done. She's done slow dances. She's
done a lot of slow dances, and I know she's done cha-cha. Did she do rumba? I know she did rumba.
I think so. I'll have to check. I'll have to check. But I think I just would want to make sure that I see more improvement on her Latin.
But I agree.
Like this was amazing. Fantastic. Len said winner chicken dinner.
Yes.
The other person that played the other doll, they had that face that was creepy.
I'm curious to see who that is. I'm sure
I don't know who it was, but that doll face was creepy. I'm like, why do you need to stand there?
Please go away. I know. If I had to assume, it's probably one of the troop members. That was really funny. And then that thing they did, where like at the end of the routine, where like she snapped his head. That was so creepy. But it was so awesome.
It was so good though. Like it was so good, but it was so creepy. I was like,
and then like that, and then she walked after Gleb went down, and like he died in the routine. And she walked up and then did like that turn towards the camera. That was good. It was so awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
It was so awesome.
Oh, anyway. Okay. Last top dance.
Last but not least, and this is probably, I would have never expected this, that we've talked about this. So Trevor and Emma, and again, we've been talking about him like the last 2 weeks. He's been going up and up, and we've been talking about him. And this was kind of like that all-star performance that, like I said, like tied with his rumba. It was hands down his best dance. And I'm not even sure, like I might have even liked it a little bit better than the rumba, and I don't even know, because his rumba was so fantastic that it's hard for me to even compare the two. But they were so good. It's if it's not his best, it's tied with his rumba for his best, hands down. It was so fantastic. I really felt the vulnerability and the emotion from it. And I thought the choreography from Emma was so, I have no words for how great it was. It was so creative, so mesmerizing, just so effortless. I thought it was so amazing. The storytelling was great. The routine was so creative. He really got into the character perfectly, especially since, like, I remember he was struggling with it in the package, and he was talking about, like, Emma was like, this is kind of what contemporary is. And we've talked about this in our contemporary class too, where when you really have to go 100%, 10% with feeling the emotion of the contemporary song within the contemporary dance. You really have to go all in with the emotion, because that's how the story is portrayed through the dance. And I thought it was, like I said, hands down, if not his best, tied with his best for me. It was so good. Everything about the dance, technique, emotion, performance, characterization, all that, fantastic. I am really happy to see him being more confident in dance. And I remember, I think Derek was like, oh, how do you feel now about dancing? He was like, I love it. And I'm so happy to see him, that he's really, because I remember in his package week 1, when he did the quick step, he was like, I'm terrified of dance. And so who would have thought he would be tied for first place and getting 3 10s halfway through the competition? Like, I'm just so happy for him. And the 3 10s were absolutely deserved. I'm so happy for him. It was fantastic.
It was amazing. That was the one that I was kind of like, no, I need to put Trevor
me too.
Of Wayne.
It was in my honorable too, but I was like, no, it was too good.
I think I was going to switch it last night, and then I forgot to finish fixing my notes. But no, that was amazing. It was so good. It was really what you want to see out of a contemporary dance. So I'm happy to see him really, like, up there again. But okay, before we get into the talk about the elimination and the team dances and stuff, the 2 dances that and this will kind of get into the elimination talk, I guess, but the other 2 dances that we didn't mention were, so Vinny and Coco, they did the Paso Doble. It was okay. It wasn't his best. I just felt like Len, I forgot exactly what Len said, his wording of, like, how he was saying something about, like, how he did, but it was just, like, not great at first. But I think he kind of, like, cleared himself up, and he did give Vinny some good compliments about how he didn't make any mistakes this time. And I'm just, like, observing how Vinny and Coco's makeup made it so hard to read their facial expressions. And I was like, this is so, I can't watch this. Like, my eyes were hurting. I was like, this is not normal. Like,
because even when they were smiling, it looked like they were sad. So.
And I did just want to make a note about how I love what Vinny said about how it's just so much more than learning steps. It's about harnessing your emotions. And I just, it wasn't in my honorable mention or top dances, of course, but I just really love his energy for it.
Me too.
I didn't know if you had anything about that.
No, I completely agree. Just like we were saying last week, obviously it wasn't his best. That's why I didn't have it on my list. But you can see, I obviously everybody's trying hard and putting all their effort into it, but he's one of the most notable ones, you can tell, especially since he's the underdog, or one of the underdogs, especially. You can tell he really cares, because you could just, because like I was saying, dancing is one of those art forms you can, like, see if somebody's just phoning it in really, really easily. Like, if you could tell he wasn't, if he wasn't trying, it'd be very, very obvious. And he'd just be standing there, really no emotion. He's giving it his all, like we were talking about last week, and I'm so proud of him and commending him, and really commend him for that. I'm just so happy that Coco is, like, there to support him, because I think she's a great support system for him. Because I'm sure it's very hard for them to kind of see the social media comments and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. So obviously, is he, like, the best technical dancer? No. And then we've kind of talked about that. And I know that's kind of, like, I know he probably even knows that too, but he's still working day in and day out to really make it, like, just the best performance he can. And I'm just really happy for him about that. And like you said, hopefully, if he ends up being in the bottom 2 at some point, hopefully he can kind of go out on a high note, so he can be proud of himself, because he really deserves that. That's what, and I know that we had mentioned that last week. And then Heidi and Artem did their tango. They had that thing with the elastic band. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting. And Len kind of made the comment of that she's kind of at, like, a plateau, he felt like, and something, I don't remember who said, I think somebody was booing him, and he was like, talk to the hand. I think but I don't know. It was interesting. Like, it was an interesting concept, and she did okay, but I just feel like so many other people stepped up more that I agree. So we'll get into that more later. We'll get into more of it when we talk about the elimination.
Okay, so let's talk about the team dances.
Let's do it.
So Team Wicked was Vinny, Jordan, Gabby, Shangela, and Heidi, and their respective partners. And it was definitely more of a jive theme. Do you remember what song they did?
It was the one from Hocus Pocus 2. I've like the witches are back or something like that.
Oh wait, that's right. I think it was it was basically to the witches are back.
Yeah.
It was, I forgot, I don't know how I forgot this. It was basically there's a song by Elton John called The Bitch Is Back. And it was basically that song, but the witches are back.
Yes.
I was laughing because I was like, wait a second, this is the Elton John song. I love that song.
Yes.
Oh, it really resonates with me. Anyway, I thought it was really, I don't know, I thought it was great from a performance standpoint. The only thing that was kind of like the downfall kind of was like, no pun intended, Jordan's lip did not go very well. Otherwise, I thought it was great. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like more upbeat and happier and like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's the one that I kind of generally gravitated towards a little bit more. And I love at the end when they were talking to them about the scores and they're like, we're friends first.
No, I know. I know.
But like, you know, I know Gabby was really excited to like work with everyone. And I think the crazy thing is this was mostly all the girls with Vinny. So then Vinny got to work with the male pros.
Right.
And the you know, the girls at least got to work with Coco, and then all of the other team was like the inverse of that. So I thought that was really interesting. But so what did you think of Team Wicked?
Well, I thought Team Wicked was really good. And like you were saying, I found it interesting, and I saw a lot of people pointing this out. They haven't done team dance in a while, so I'm happy it's back. But I thought it was really interesting that because usually the team dance is like they kind of create the story / song / kind of wardrobe to their themes. They just ended up wearing the same like outfit from their round one dance. So
with that makeup.
Yeah, I know exactly. Chandler couldn't get out of that makeup. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was a really fun dance. I thought the choreo was fun. Like you said, it was really upbeat, happy, just performance and routine. I did agree with Len that I wish kind of like during the solos, they were doing a little bit more than just standing there or kind of clapping and stuff like that. I thought they could have been a little bit more like choreography in that, because I feel like that would have livened up the dance a little bit. But overall, I thought it was good. I thought the solos were good. I agreed with you that I feel like the scores could have been a little bit higher. I feel like 8s are a little bit too I don't know. Like I don't think I would have given it 10s, but I think at least a few other 9s or a few more 9s I would have done. But
yeah, I felt like it was kind of a little low. I know, I think we said that right before we started recording. Yeah, I felt like the score was kind of low. I don't know. I felt like
but I could see what the judges were saying though.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I don't know. So I agree. I mean, I do agree with what they said, but
yeah.
So then
Team Scream is Trevor, Charlie, Wayne, and Daniel. Yeah.
So I forgot what style it actually kind of like looked like.
I know. It was really interesting.
It was everything. I think it was a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I forgot what song they did.
I know, me too. I can look it up right now if hold on one second, and then I can just let's see.
The theme that they basically did was it was like the murder mystery, because they had
it was
the body on the floor, and they were kind of like all trying to figure out who it was, and I like that they had that whole theme around it. And the cool part at the end was like when Charlie like went whatever, and then they all
that was really cool.
Like, oh, we found out who the killer is.
I know, that was really cool. It says that the song was Heads Will Roll by the Yes. So
that's right.
Yeah. So but yeah, I thought what else did you think?
I think even though I really liked the more upbeat style of the song that Team Wicked had done, I think it's just like as I was watching the Team Scream group dance, I was like, oh man, like it was just so, the choreography was so intricate. And I think this is what ultimately gave them those higher scores, because when they were doing the solos, the rest of them moved in a certain pattern, and it was different for everybody. It wasn't just standing and clapping or standing and dancing on the sidelines. It was just so like it moved as a shape, and then they switched, and it was really intricate with that. And then they had the whole thing with Charlie at the end, and it's like you didn't even know she was in there until they all like dropped. So it was just, the choreography was so intricate and so amazing, and they executed it really well. Apparently Charlie made a mistake. I didn't see it. That was, but it was just, and I think collectively based on their performances tonight, like this night, they were the stronger team scoring wise, like collectively. Like all of those 4 of them were in like a top or honorable mention.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, what else did you
have? Yeah. So for me, I thought it was very creative. I thought it was a little bit more, like you said, like the detail, the choreo and the storytelling and all that was a little bit more intricate than Team Wicked for me. And I think that's what Lynn was talking about, because I like during the solo how, like you said, they were kind of like going back and forth and doing stuff, and then they were like on the ground, and like you said, they were moving as one shape. And I remember that one thing. Yeah. I think Daniel and Britt were doing their solo, and then or no, it was Wayne and Whitney were doing their solo, and then when Daniel and Britt came in, like they kind of Whitney and Wayne split apart, and then they went back into the shape. I thought that was really, really creative and awesome. I thought it was so cool. Obviously the solos, just like Team Wicked, were good. I thought the concept was amazing. Like you said, that whole murder mystery kind of thing where they were like pointing at each other, everything. I think that kind of that routine and that kind of story fits, like it requires a very intricate and detailed routine, because you have so many moving pieces, and I think they executed that story and that routine very well. I think they just really performed it very well, and I'm very I was very happy with it. And obviously they scored better because they got 3 10s and a 9. I think, just like you were saying, it wasn't like I didn't like Team Wicked. I really, really enjoyed Team Wicked. I thought it was a really, really good dance. But I think that's what the judges were saying too, is I just think they saw more out of Team Scream than Team Wicked, and that's why the scoring was a little bit lopsided. So
well, that's why it was just crazy though, because it's like at that point they had only seen Team Wicked. Like, did they get any preview of what Team Scream's routine looked like? And
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if the judges see anything on camera blocking, because if they dance in the opposite order, I would have, I can imagine.
I don't know. I don't even think the judges are there for camera blocking. I think it's like kind of like B judges or whatever, like just judges that just sit there. And so I don't think they've ever seen it. So that's really interesting. But I can agree with what Len said, especially with the solo parts.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, do you want to talk about the elimination? Then I had a few other like overall comments.
Yes, I have a few overall
elimination conversation.
Elimination conversation. It's probably going to be our longest elimination conversation of the season, so bear with us. But
so Heidi and Jordan were the bottom 2, and then I think it was Carrie Ann wanted to save Heidi, and then Derek and Bruno wanted to save Jordan, and then Len
saved,
voted for Heidi, and because they're tied, his vote determines it. Now, I think this is the thing, and I like Heidi, okay, but this is the second time she's in the bottom 2. This is the second time they've saved her, and Len himself said that evening that he felt that Heidi had hit a plateau, and I think the biggest thing for me, in my opinion, is that Jordan has consistently grown week to week to week to week to week. Maybe Heidi has scored higher than Jordan most of the weeks, but I feel like Jordan has shown the consistent growth, whereas Heidi's hitting a plateau.
Yes.
And I think that was the thing that I can't understand why they picked Heidi over Jordan.
Me too.
It just, like, look, neither of them was going to be there. And one of our friends had an interesting theme that theory that she thinks that they want to keep Heidi there because they're trying to get the competitiveness between Heidi and Charlie.
I can totally see that.
It's not going to happen. Stop. Leave it alone.
I know. Leave it alone. I know.
Like, they're in totally different ball games. Like, Heidi's done well and all of this, but it's like, come on, it was her night to go. They weren't even as happy with her dance.
I know.
I can't believe it.
No, I don't think either.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I don't even know where to start. Like you had said, it's just like, and Carrie Ann said it after Heidi's tango, and that was the thing, and that was the reason why, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get so fired up about this, but it's just like Carrie Ann was saying, and you were talking about this. Carrie Ann said after the tango, and I completely agreed with this. Like she was saying with Charlie and Heidi, you can always count on the technique being consistent. You can always count on, like she said, the posture, the technique, the frame, like everything like that. You can always count on being really, really good. But I really feel and this is what Carrie Ann was saying too. Like the last 3 to 4 dances, we've been saying we want more kind of emotion and storytelling and just kind of just overall emoting from Heidi, and it really hasn't seemed to change much. Just like you were saying with Len's comments, saying kind of like she went up and it hit a plateau. I absolutely agree with that, and it's just like her energy and performance level. I really don't feel like it's improved that much since we've been talking about it, and that's what they've been wanting. And they praised Jordan of what they've been asking her to work on and said that she worked on it and she's been doing good, but yet Heidi didn't work on, or hasn't really, she hasn't really showcased what the judges have been wanting her to work on. They critiqued her on those actual details and yet still saved her over Jordan. So it's just like, it really doesn't make any sense to me. I really don't know, but it's, I think the most upset I have been about. This is definitely the hands down most upset I've been about an elimination this season.
I mean, I was upset with Joseph.
Me too.
But because was it down to Heidi and Joseph when it was?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, even then I'm like, okay, part of me is just like, okay, oh yeah, because that's right, because it was the girls just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that one
Okay,
at least
fine.
like made a little bit more sense to me. But I think the other thing too is like, and obviously we're talking about the same thing with Charlie for like the emotion part, but like Charlie's technique is stronger and her general emotion and performance is stronger than her mom's. Yes. So it's not like it's the same exact issue, but I think that's a thing. And it's just, it cracks me up then, because everybody, so that's the thing. My mom's like, well, do you know who went home? And I was like, well, Mom, I didn't watch the episode, obviously, but I start checking the comments like after 10 p.m. and I start trying to like read and deduce, and then I figured out who went home. But the majority of the comments are everybody getting mad that Vinny's still there. So like, as a whole other side note to this, everybody's so mad that Vinny's still there. And I'm like, look, yeah, Vinny should probably go home too, okay? But he's not getting to the bottom two. And again, same thing with Jordan. He's at least improving every week. Whether the judges are going to be critical about it because he's typically the lowest scorer or not, he is still improving every week. And whereas Heidi, I just feel like has not stepped up as much in the past few weeks. And it's just, it's like there's a different parameter. And this is why I always go back to my theory, how I feel like the bottom two should be based on the bottom two scores, and then the votes save them. The judges already gave their opinion when they did the scoring. Yes. They went at that because the whole point was the judges were split. It was Carrie Ann and Len, and then it was Derek and Bruno were on the two opposite sides. But because it was Len that thought that Heidi should be saved, Heidi gets saved.
No,
because he's the head judge. And it's like so confusing. It's like if they're a judge, then Len always, or if there's a tie, Len always breaks the tie. And
yes. Like, but it's so weird. It's so annoying, especially like you were saying. I think the thing that upsets me the most, like about this whole thing, is that, like you were saying, it wasn't just that Jordan was improving just in a few areas of her dance or of her dancing. She's literally improved every single technical and performative like aspects, all aspects of her dancing every single week.
Yeah.
And Heidi has to an extent somewhat, but she hasn't really broken through that performative energy level that we would like to see. And that's still kind of, like you said, that's kind of plateaued at this point. And then, but Jordan's gone through the roof with that. And so I'm just so confused that it's just like, again, I just find it so weird, like you had said, that it's like, it was the complete opposite. It's like Carrie Ann and Len critiqued, and I already said this, but it's so frustrating to me that Carrie Ann and Len critiqued Heidi for that very reason during her dance. And they praised Jordan for different reasons, but like they critiqued Heidi on what they wanted her to work on. And then they praised Jordan of what she did work on. But yet that still wasn't enough in the same night to not save Jordan. I just thought it was so frustrating.
I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know. And I thought I heard it was a double elimination last night. I don't know if that's true, or next week. I don't know if that's true, but
I feel like it's got to be, because there were 9 this week, so now there's going to be 8, and we only have a few weeks left.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks left. Yeah, so they have to. Yeah. So maybe we'll see what happens next week. But yeah, this was really upsetting to me.
Okay, so there were the other comments that I had. Yeah, I know that I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be so mad about this. But okay, so they had the whole acting thing at the beginning. I was like, wow, they're really getting their taste at acting with this whole like Halloween stuff.
I know.
The judges' costumes were
I
just
know, they were so great.
were so great. And then they were talking about like Len and Derek being like father and son, and then Sasha going around to scare everyone.
I know,
Daniel, Charlie, and Jordan literally just laughed.
I know.
And then
yeah,
Trevor had no reaction, but everybody else lost their minds.
yeah, I know.
Like,
that was so funny. I love when Sasha walked in, and obviously everybody probably knows this is like an annual thing that Sasha does every season. I love when he like came in and tried to scare Jordan, and she just laughed, and he took off his mask. He's like, "Damn it!" And it was just so funny how he just he was like, "I tried, but it just didn't work." Yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Did you have what else were you thinking?
no, I would have lost my mind. That's all I know.
No, I know. And then I had a few overall thoughts. Did you have any?
No, that was it. That was all I had for Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, cool. I have a few more. I thought it was so funny that when during the tango / Argentine tango, Derek's Argentine tango / tango lesson, that Bruno like came in and he did.
Yeah.
That was so funny. That was amazing. Bruno's always known to like go to the extreme, so I love him. He's awesome. And then I thought it was interesting. Like I said, we talked about this during our top and honorable mentions, but who would have thought that Charlie and Trevor would be tied for first this week? So that was really cool to see. Yeah. So I'm very happy for them. So yeah, and then we got 90s. And then what was it? No, I was just saying that it was. This is going back to the elimination, but I just said it was. I've already talked about this, but it's just so crazy that Carrie Ann. Like it seems like she's very like undecided, which is just like, and Len too. Again, because it was just the opposite of what they critiqued Heidi on, but it's just I've already talked about it. But and then 90s week next week, so that should be nice. I'm excited too. I'm sure it's gonna go all out, and 90s night will be awesome. So I'm excited.
I was alive during the 90s, so you know.
Yeah, I know. I was alive for like 7 months, so not that long.
You just made it in there.
I just made it in. Exactly.
Yeah, I was around for most of the 90s, so I'm assuming we're probably going to get like I'm assuming maybe we're going to get some like Britney Spears, and
they said we're going to have special performances from
the people that they said In Vogue,
Salt and Pepper, Vanilla Ice.
Oh yes, somebody's going to dance the Ice Ice Baby. Probably.
So that'll be fun. If I would love to see, if I had to guess, I think that could be Vinny. I could see Vinny doing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. But I'm assuming, I'm wondering if they're gonna have Britney Spears. I would assume they will have like Britney Spears and sing that.
Yeah, some of the boy band stuff. Yeah.
I think what was I gonna? I mean, not for nothing. I told my parents, I was like, yeah, well, also Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they could whip one of those out.
Oh, they could.
And that was in the whatever. And I was like, no, Dad. And I looked it up, and it was in the early 90s. I was like, it was in the 90s.
Yes. So,
who knows? Maybe they'll.
That'd be cool.
I don't know if they're gonna pull out the Carlton dance again, but anyway.
Exactly. But that'd be fun. Yeah, I'm really excited for 90s night. That should be fun.
Oh goodness. Okay.
All right.
Vamos a la playa.
Yep. Let's do it.
Change my background. All right.
I know, me too.
Episode 10.
Oh, here we go.
So it started off that Victoria was talking to the girls, trying to figure out her whole situation between Johnny and Alex, and I guess, so this is when it starts getting weird. They have the rose ceremony. They know they're going to have a rose ceremony that night, but they don't even know who has the roses at this point in the day. And then it was weird because I was counting. I was like, who are the girls, like the new girls that came in? And I realized I was like, one of them was missing. And so Jesse had mentioned about how Sarah had a family emergency and needed to leave. And that, he said she had a family emergency and needed to leave. And then he said, we send her heartfelt condolences. And I was like, did she have a death in the family? So I went on her Instagram and it looked like her grandmother had passed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she passed before the film, after, like before she got home, after she got home. I don't know. I couldn't really deduce based on her caption, but I was sad to see that. I was also just, I mean, I guess in some ways I don't know how easy of a decision it was to go home at that point. I mean, it's like you're there already, and obviously what happened with Logan, like going on the date with Kate, and then she's kind of like this, that, I don't know how much things might have panned out, but I'm still obviously sorry about what happened. So, I wish we could have gotten to see her a little bit more there, but
understandably,
it's understandable. So, then there starts this whole dialogue about how the girls are talking about how their rooms are messy. So like the new girls are blaming the OG girls, and the OG girls are blaming the new girls. Apparently there's ants in the shower, and then there's stuff, and the makeup's all over the thing. And I'm like, what the heck happened? I was like, maybe it just reached like a critical mass that it's like, okay, we can't maintain this many people in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they're like, I don't know. They just kind of put that in as an extra thing. And then they all the couples were like all spending time together. They keep recapping that. Shanae and Jacob talk about their teeth, and they did this whole brushing their teeth. I don't even know what was happening. And then they start like making out. So I'm like, here we go. Shanae and Jacob are back together. Did you have anything on that before I get into all the Victoria stuff?
Yeah, I have a few things. Just like you were saying, I found it was interesting that Victoria, like again, she wants to get to know Alex a little bit better. I thought that was kind of interesting, especially since with Johnny, she's very like, it seems like she really likes him. So I just find it interesting that she's still talking about how she is kind of in between, split in the middle, like who she really wants to pursue. I thought that was interesting because she says Alex is her husband type, and she's like, oh my gosh, I love everything about Johnny too. So it's just like, okay. Again, we see how that's going to play out. And then obviously Johnny is understandably stressed just because he's like freaking out. It's like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? I don't want to lose Victoria and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a shame that we didn't get to see Sarah for any longer or any longer during the season, but if it's for family and stuff like that, it's totally understandable. And this is kind of a precursor to episode 11, but I just thought it was funny. I wrote down Aaron and Genevieve are happy to be back together and they're confident in their relationship. It's like, again, we'll see. Again, we'll talk about that later. But yeah. And then I thought it was so funny that Jasenia and Florence were like talking, I think they're talking to Wells, about the messy room, and they were like all complaining about it. And it's like, oh, the girls' room is all messy. And then I love how like during the commercial, or like right before they went to commercial, they showed the ants. I highly doubt it was the ants in the room. They probably just got a random shot of like ants on the beach. And then I thought that was just really funny. And then I love how Jacob, like you were saying with Jacob and Shanae, where he was like, I have not met anybody on this planet who's more obsessed with teeth than I am. I thought that was so funny. And then they started talking about it, and then he was like, oh, I carry this floss thing in my pocket or whatever. And then that whole thing where he was brushing her teeth, I was just like, oh God, it was just so funny to me. But that was really interesting. I just wrote OMG, he's brushing her teeth, because I wasn't expecting that, but that was really funny. So that's all I have, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, one other thing about Jacob that happened like outside of the show. So I was on Instagram the other day. So you know how when Jill left last week, she was saying like, I fell in love with a Lyft driver or whatever. He sold his couch for cash. So apparently Lyft, like the company, heard this.
Oh no.
And they bought him a couch.
That's really funny.
And so he posted it and tagged Jill, and Jill was like,
that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad, because I don't know, I'm not really checking everything on social media all the time, but I'm so glad I witnessed that.
Exactly.
Because that was funny.
Yes.
So back to the episode. So yeah, Alex goes to talk to Victoria, and then Johnny and Victoria talk, and then we do discover that the women had the roses. So I'll run down the list. It's the typical. Serene picked Brandon. They showed Andrew smiling. It was like the cutest thing.
I know, that was amazing.
Danielle gave it to Michael. Eliza gave it to Rodney. Genevieve gave it to Aaron. Jasenia to Andrew. Brittany to Tyler. Kate to Logan. Shanae to Jacob. And then here we go with the drama. So Victoria gave it to Johnny. And then Florence gave it to Alex. And the interesting thing that I also noticed was, I think Florence posted it on Instagram, was I don't know if people even thought that she was doing this for drama, but Florence picked Alex because apparently, like as a friendship rose, because apparently Alex was also on The Bachelor in Paradise Australia with her, and he had done the same thing to her on that season. And then I don't know, did they even show Adam leaving?
Yes, because he was like, oh, nice meeting you guys and stuff like that. So I think
I don't know. Yeah. I remember that. Listen, I don't know. I mean, these ladies, they totally missed that opportunity. I'm sorry. He seems like, I'm just like, apparently he is actually Thor's body double, like Chris Hemsworth's body double in that Thor movie, the Love and Thunder. I haven't gotten to watch it yet. I'm very behind on my Marvel movies.
I need to though, yeah.
But yeah, I have to watch Doctor Strange and then Thor, and I have to get ready because Wakanda Forever is coming. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. So then he's gone. I feel bad, but
yeah.
And then, like clockwork, Victoria gets the date card.
Oh, of course.
And she asks Johnny. So before we get into the date, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I had a few things. I thought it was really funny. I think it was Johnny talking about Alex. I think just amongst the guys, and I love how he was like, "Oh, he looks like Jimmy Garoppolo and Wolverine." I thought that was really funny. I don't know if you know who Jimmy Garoppolo is, but he's the quarterback of the 49ers, and he looks exactly like him. So if you look up his picture, you'll see he looks exactly like him.
Before Ashley I was with Jared, like I think on their podcast they were talking about her trying to like get her to be set up with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why I know his name.
Exactly. But it's really funny because if you look, no, it's all good. But if you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's like how he looks, Alex, it's like it's completely identical face, and then he has Wolverine's beard. So I just found that like that's like so funny. It's like,
oh my gosh, he does.
Hit it right on the. Do you see it? Exactly. It's totally. It could be his twin.
Wow.
It's like uncanny.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. It was like, good job, Johnny. So I thought that was really funny because I was like, exactly, that's so accurate. And then like you were saying, it would have been great. I was kind of hoping that Adam and Florence could have had a thing. I thought that would have been kind of cool to see the like who would have.
They had history.
I thought they had history, and maybe I would have liked to have seen Adam a little bit more. He seemed like a cool, funny, upbeat guy. But again, there's a lot of kind of like already formed relationships right now. So I guess if he was the odd man out, okay. Yeah. But that's what I was thinking about. But that's pretty much all I have about did I? Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. I was just talking about
the date.
Yeah, the date, yeah.
Okay, so Victoria and Johnny go to this like ceremony. I don't know. They weren't as clear about what they were doing.
It was. Apparently
it was like a sweat lodge, and they were doing some ceremony, and it wasn't really. They didn't even say the person was like a shaman per se, but whatever. Oh, Johnny was like totally not into this whole thing.
I know.
And it's just crazy because I just think back to the Amsterdam date with Gabby.
He was
like totally into that whole thing.
Exactly.
But his candle wasn't lighting, and he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe this is cursed. I mean, the date seems okay. Like he kind of opens up a little bit throughout it, but I think Johnny is still pretty reserved. Like obviously the Amsterdam date was a little different type of situation. B, he wasn't. It was kind of more known. He was competing against other guys to get Gabby's attention, and it was a little bit further along in the season. I mean, granted, Paradise had more time with each other, but still. So Victoria did say that she's falling in love with Johnny, and I don't know. I thought the date went okay. I know there's some like spoilers / rumors going around. I don't know if we wanted to address it now.
We can.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert, people. Yeah.
I'm gonna start because I don't really know how much else happened with Victoria between the 2 episodes and Johnny. So what I will do is I'm gonna start talking about it now, and I'll go like this. So if you're going ahead on YouTube, you can just like look for the thumbnail where I start waving my hands frantically. Okay.
Yes.
So you can start skipping now. So I looked at the spoilers, and supposedly Victoria and Johnny get engaged, and then they break up. And she was spotted with Greg Grippo by like the Trevi Fountain in Rome. And then there was a video. I did see the video. Reality Steve posted it and all this stuff. So people are like assuming. Oh, sorry. Wait, I moved my arm. People are assuming that that she might have cheated on him with Greg. Oh, wow. I don't think that okay. The relationship could have ended, and then she started talking to Greg. And that's where some people were like fighting in the comments. They're like, just because she's with Greg now doesn't mean she cheated on Johnny. So like, I don't know. So we'll just see what happens. I mean, everybody, Greg's great. I've always just like loved Greg and all. And like, I'm assuming Greg met her through Andrew and Justin because they all are friends and all this. So I don't know. We'll just, it's all going to come out eventually, and we'll see what happens. All I know for myself is that Greg's now off the market. So anyway, all right. I'm gonna welcome people back with like waving my hands frantically now. Okay, so now that we're done with that. I didn't know how much you had heard about that.
No, I heard a few things about it. No, exactly. I heard a few like rumblings about it, but not much detail. We'll see what happens, just like you said. I thought it was no, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, anybody now that just joined us back after I waved my hands frantically, it's like we'll revisit this when we get to after the Paradise episode. Exactly.
When I'm editing this, I'll just make like a thing. It's like a 1-minute spoiler. So if you want to skip over this, you can. I completely agree with you. That was really funny because especially with the Amsterdam date, like where they were just by themselves and they did the whole like spa thing and stuff like that. Where with Johnny.
Yeah.
He seems a little more comfortable with that, to me at least. But also like I guess he had known Gabby a little bit longer at that time. So like when they were doing that kind of spa thing in that little hut or whatever they were doing in Amsterdam, he seemed a little more comfortable. And again, Gabby, I feel like a little bit more upbeat than Victoria in terms of like kind of like the giggly goofiness, because she was like chasing him with that leaf and stuff like that throughout wherever they were. And he was really kind of getting into it and laughing and stuff like that. So it seemed like he was a little bit more comfortable with that date than this one. But again, he kind of opened up a little bit more as the date went on, like you said. Yeah, and then I thought it was interesting that she said she was falling in love with him. I thought it was pretty quick, but it was awesome to see. I'm happy for that. So I think that's pretty cool. But that's all I had on that.
Yeah, it seems like she's pretty set on Johnny now and not Alex. Yes. And I was like, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere after all.
Yes, I know. Especially since she said, "Oh, Alex, like is my like ideal husband." Like it's like again, but
yeah, that also makes me question the validity of the other thing that we talked about before. We don't need to get into that anyway. So they go back to the beach and they're talking about all the couples, and then it's like, of course, then Justin comes back and then he says that he's looking specifically for Eliza. So then Justin and Eliza talk. Everybody seems like they're more supportive of her and Rodney, including Michael. And you know, and like as we see later on, like I forgot which episode it was, like even Andrew, they're friends with Justin and they still are more supportive of Rodney with Eliza. And then so then Aaron starts explaining to Alex about what happened with Justin, and then Aaron leaves, and this is the start of all the craziness, because it's like I feel like every episode they're going to argue until they actually break up. And Genevieve freaks out that Aaron was apparently, he like seemed to be pissed off, and apparently so he was mad or upset rather that she made it sound like that she's only with him because of Justin's failure and not because she liked him.
Yeah,
and I can understand why he might feel that way. And then he gets upset, and then he just said he might have been a bit sensitive. So I don't know. I mean, that I can understand the reasoning for this particular situation. I do feel like he was being a bit sensitive, but it's understandable that he is being sensitive to that situation. And that conversation seemed to go fine.
Yes.
Unlike other ones later. But did you have anything to say about that before we
I had a few.
Rodney.
I know exactly. And I thought that like when Justin came back, I thought it was really interesting. He was like, "I'm just here for Eliza," and then he was like so dead set on it. And then Jesse was like, "Make sure you make this opportunity count." And then he was so confident walking onto the beach again. And of course, whenever they have somebody new come back, or if somebody like comes back to Paradise or is new, whatever, of course they always give them a date card, and that's always like the thing that they always do. And when he asked Eliza to go on the date, I always thought it was so funny that she said yes, because especially the fact, because I just wrote, well, that was easy, because like she didn't seem like she was like, again with Rodney, she really gave him much of a chance with that, but it was like okay. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I said it's a very immature conversation that Aaron is having with Genevieve again, and this is really funny. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I've seen a lot. I mean, I was talking about this with my parents, and I've seen kind of people comparing this on social media and stuff. It's not obviously the same situation because it was less people, and kind of not. There were more people competing against one person or competing for one person rather than like being a couple. But I felt like the Genevieve, and I know we're going to get more and more into their conversations as we go into the second episode, but I felt like the Genevieve and Aaron conversations were very similar, at least in terms of like conversation style / non-communication, or not being as communicative as they probably should have been. It reminded me a lot of Rachel and Avon, because in terms of like Avon trying to explain something to her, I don't think Aaron maybe handled it in a like as best as maybe Avon did, but I felt like it was a lot of Genevieve wanted to hear something like Rachel did, and if she didn't hear it, she'd get upset and kind of leave. That's kind of what Rachel did. That's kind of why it reminded me of that.
Yeah, but Aaron does the same thing.
No, you're right. Exactly.
They're just not. They're not a good match.
No, exactly. They're not a good match, and that's what I find about that. It's just like it's like they fight, they make up, then they fight, they make up, and it's very dramatic, and I don't like it. So yeah, I agree. I don't think that's a good match. But.
Yeah, in that particular situation, I think Genevieve's just like explaining the situation, and I think like it just affected him and he left, and then she was just like, what the heck, why did they leave? You know,
no, I
and
know.
Then it's like he was upset and he communicated that he was upset, and then they talked it through and then it was okay. But
and obviously, and Wells didn't even know what it was. I mean, apparently, but he was like, "Oh, he's not mad," and then Genevieve was like, "Yeah, he is," and it was like, "Okay," but yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Well, because I think Wells is a little more level-headed, but for another day. Yeah. So anyway, so then Eliza goes to talk to Rodney, and then here we go with the salt. And Wells was like, "Should I make him a drink?"
Yes.
She's so okay. Eliza's like, well, I don't like the situation, but I'll take it. Like, she's like, I'm not used to having guys fight over me. And Rodney, and we see this again later, the same situation. Well, not same, but similar situation. And he's like, I selfishly don't want you to go, but I think it's better if you go. And she just was not getting it. She wanted someone to fight for her and is upset that Rodney isn't like up in arms about it. It's like, I told him to tell me not to go, and he didn't tell me that.
Yes.
And also, I'm also feeling like, well, now she's going on this date with Justin, and Justin's thinking that because she's interested in Justin. And it's like, is she doing it because she's interested in Justin, or is she doing it because she's just like, okay, well, whatever, Rodney doesn't want to fight for me, and I'm going to go with Justin. That's not fair to Justin either. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, it's just like, I literally saw somebody, I think I shared it on the page, on the story, and it was just like, she wants Rodney to be a jealous boyfriend when he's trying to be emotionally mature. Like, why are you doing
want that? Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, I hate it. Yeah,
I just hate it. And it's like, I get the whole thing, but it's like, he's not being complacent. It's just, he would be an absolute hypocrite because of what just happened with Lace.
Yes.
And I think that's the point, is it's just like, he also wants to know, like, that you don't want to be having a regret, oh, I should have gone with Justin instead, and then you do that. So it's like, she's getting all worked up about it. It's like, these are the parameters of paradise. Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know. She just got like all angry about this, and it was kind of annoying. But
no, I agree.
Yeah, and then that was the other thing. And then Victoria and Johnny came back from the date, and then they started to tell them about what happened with Rodney and Justin and Eliza.
Exactly.
So and then I guess that's when Justin and Eliza went on the date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Oh, where do I start? Oh my gosh. This actually might be a better comparison to Rachel and Avon. And the only reason I say that is because not in terms of the circumstances, but in terms of like, Rachel was wanting to hear something from Avon. She didn't hear it and got upset. So like, this is kind of like, again, with Eliza. Like you were saying, it would have been hypocritical if he did what Eliza wanted him to do based off of what just happened with Lace, just like what you just said. And it was just so annoying how like she started to kind of write him off, like in the ITMs and everything like that, where she was like, well, like, he's not fighting for me, so like I think that kind of tells me all I need to know and everything like that. And I hated how she was like, well, I haven't, like you said, two guys have never fought over me, and obviously I don't like it, but I kind of do. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I just like, it's just so weird. And it's just, it started to become like really toxic for me. And I was just, my thought was like, because then obviously we'll talk about this later in the episode, but like I really felt like she was starting to like try to make him the bad guy in this whole situation, and he really isn't. So I just like, it's like, oh, you didn't tell me like what I wanted to hear. Oh, well, you didn't do that, so you're gonna lose me. Like, I just like, it's just so unfair to him, and I just really don't like that. And it just made me really upset. And I don't like that she tried to kind of shame him through this whole thing when he was trying to be, like you said, respectful and really going to this situation with emotional maturity, and not just be like, oh, okay, yeah, like, no, I don't want you doing this, whatever. Like, so I was really, really mad. I hated it.
No, and I think that's the other thing too, is it's just like, as far as I'm concerned, like in Rodney's position, it's just like, okay, well, now that you see that she's going to do this, like, that's also telling you about her now too.
Yes.
So I think we see that a little more like later. I'll probably talk about that more with the second situation that happened. But I think it was kind of just like, it's very telling with this situation, because it's just like Rodney's kind of just like, he wants her to explore the relationship with Justin, because then it's like he wants to know that at the end, when she saw both options, she chose him.
Yes.
But the way that she also acts about it is not boding well, and this kind of tracks. But so anyway, so cut to Eliza and Justin go on the date, and they start by talking about what happened with Rodney. And I'm also like, what I'm thinking is like, what is going through Justin's mind as he's hearing this?
I
But
know.
it seems to get back on track. And then there was the whole thing with the bug, and he was just like freaking out about the bug. I mean, I thought the date seemed to go well. I don't really know how I feel about them together.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. And then they had the fireworks. And then
Yeah, of course.
Brandon, who was Brandon hyping up? Was it Justin before the date talking about his shirt? Why did that seem to get out of context?
No, I think so. I think he was.
Oh yeah, I was just like, Brandon's everybody's hype man. I just
No, I know.
That's what I had no.
And that's what I was saying. It was like, because they were cutting back to, and like I agree with you. I thought Eliza and Justin's date was good. I found it was weird that they were kind of talking about the similarities with, again, their respective people that left, like, or whatever. Like, I thought that was a little strange, but fine. Like, if they want to talk about kind of their similarities, the way they can kind of relate to things, that's fine, or on some things. But and like you said, I thought the date went okay. I thought it was decent, and that they have somewhat of a decent connection, but I don't know how I feel about them together. Yep. It was nice. I felt bad for Rodney because, like you were saying, they kind of went back to him at the beach when they were, Eliza and Justin were on the date, and you could tell he visibly was not happy, and he was just like, man, I should not have let her go. But again, that shouldn't have been something he was shamed for, should have been shamed for at all. But I was really happy, like you said, Brandon was there to hype up everybody. It was nice to see him being like, dude, you're an amazing guy. She's gonna come back for you and everything like that. So I was really happy that Brandon was there to kind of.
Oh, that's what it was. I could have been hyping up.
Yeah, he was hyping him up. So I was happy about that. So I put that in that. I was really happy to see Brandon be there for him. And it seems like Rodney's really close with everybody. So from what I've seen, so that's really...
Rodney, because that was a thing. Like, Rodney became friends with Andrew and Greg and Justin. He's met them previously. Yeah. Like, they had met before the show, because when I went to the Bachelor Live on Stage in April, there was one in the city and Justin was like the guy for that. And then there was another one like during the week and Rodney was the guy for that. And so my friends and I went to the one for Justin in the city thinking that we'd see Greg and Andrew, but they weren't there. But Greg and Andrew were actually at the one in New Jersey during the week for Rodney. So like, I know they know him. I mean, the one that we did see Rick and Romeo and Chelsea were there. But yeah, anyway, side note.
No, exactly. And of course, like you said, with them, of course, with the back and forth editing, they always do this when there's like some kind of love triangle where they were showing Eliza and Justin having a good time, and then Rodney back at the beach dressing, and then of course they end up, like you said, kissing with fireworks or whatever. Like, I don't really like seeing that, but what are you gonna do? Then that's pretty much all I had, and I just said like the crazy ending that happened with the episode, so that's all I had.
Yeah, the previews, I can't talk today. The previews were like, oh, here we go. And then they had the clip of Genevieve with the spiders at the end. The spiders, ITM. I would have also been freaking out.
I know.
Oh, anyway. So
on episode 11.
Yeah, episode 11. So they were like, what did I say? Why did I write cheers to the bonfire?
Yeah, they
did cheers
had
to the bonfire
at the beginning, yeah.
Then they entered that whole conversation about Paradise High School. I was like, I gotta go. I think they put the clip on Instagram. I'm like, I gotta listen to this again and really digest this, that they said it. Like, I didn't even quote any of it. I don't know if you made any notes to quote.
Oh, no, I didn't either. And that's what I was thinking. I was originally going to be like, maybe I should actually like listen to it and quote who was who. But I was like, it's just so many people. I'm not sure I really like, I don't really think it matters, but it was funny.
I just thought it was funny that they actually sat and thought about this. And
I
like,
know.
What else are they going to do?
And I love how they played the kind of like graduation music behind it. I thought that was really funny. And I forgot who was narrating it. Was it Jacob? I thought it
was Andrew.
It might, okay. I think it could have been.
No, I think it was Jacob. I thought it was Andrew at some points. I think maybe it was Andrew and Jacob.
Yeah, and I love how they were like, and this person was this, and this person was that. Like, I just thought that was really funny. I thought it was really creative and funny.
What else did they have to do besides synchronized swimming?
I know, exactly.
Yeah, so enter Hayden.
Oh, here we go.
So if we don't remember Hayden was from Gabby and Rachel's season, and he is the guy that talked about Rambo, his dog, that has cancer, that we're not, obviously I feel for him with the whole situation with the dog. He did also speak poorly about Gabby and Rachel and basically said that they weren't as good looking as his ex, and then he told Gabby that she was rough around the edges, which I'm like, here we go. So anyway, he comes down. I don't know why they invited him, to be perfectly honest.
Me neither.
He talks to Shanae first, and she's just like, not my type. Tyler gives them all a synopsis of what happened. So while he's talking to Shanae, like, Tyler's telling them all of what happened in there, and even Florence then went over and was like, no. But yeah, they were all reacting to what Tyler said, and they're like,
Oh.
And then Hayden pulls Kate to talk, and then her advice was to be bold, because like obviously that's what she had to do. And he asked her on the date, and they all paused, and she said yes without saying anything to Logan. And I'm like, here we go again. Okay, those my headphones. So, yeah. So anyway, before we talk about the whole date thing and all of that, what did you have any comments about any of that stuff?
Oh my gosh, what else can I say about Hayden, man? It was so funny. Like and like I said, I quote Halloween with my family. Like my mom finds this whole thing amusing. Like with last on the Bachelorettes this season, where Hayden, I'm sure you remember, and we've talked about it, where when she sent him home on the ship, and he was like, you were talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about Rambo. And my mom is so obsessed with Rachel going like, the dog? Like she's like always quoting that, where she's like, you think I'm talking about the dog? So that we were talking about that this when we were watching this yesterday. So it was really funny. But that just reminded me of that. But yeah, I thought it was really funny when all the girls were talking to him. I don't know who it was specifically. I think it might have been Florence. But I thought it was really funny. One of them was like, it might have been Kate too, when they were like, oh, what are your core values? And the first thing he said, oh, I have a golden retriever. And I just love how he's like really playing that whole theme up and the whole storyline up. I just think it's so funny. And then yeah, like you said, I like how Logan narrated kind of the whole thing about, oh, this is what Hayden did and everything. And they showed the clips from the season a few months ago and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. And then I said Kate set herself up with that one, because she totally did. Because she was like, oh, well, if I were you, I would be completely open-minded. I would just go for it. Yeah. And obviously that's probably gonna intrigue Hayden. And then of course he asked her like a second later, and she's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it was like, if you didn't want to go on a date with her or with him, with maybe, and hey, maybe she did. But like she really set herself up for that, like being so happy and kind of jolly about it. And then Kigo asked her the next second. So I was like, that's totally, she set herself up for that.
I think I was listening to Ben and Ashley. I did a podcast episode on this. I think it was theirs. And I'm pretty sure it was them. So they were talking about this. And so they were comparing the situation to Eliza and Rodney. And what he was kind of saying was the difference was like Eliza was interested in Justin. And she just kind of wanted Rodney to like fight for her, to be like this whole like they're fighting for me. Whereas I think in Kate's situation, I think she was more sure about Logan, but just did also like, she just wanted to be nice to Hayden and just be like, okay, well, I'll go explore the relationship. But I think she really wanted Logan to say no.
No, I know.
So she had an excuse to not go. But she also, at least the clip they showed, they framed it the same way. And it's like, she's like, well, he failed the test. And I'm just like, here we go again. Like,
I don't know why they have to do this.
I mean, later on, I don't think, I forgot how much they like showed them after this whole situation, but it seemed like it kind of, whatever, this whole thing kind of mellowed out. I mean, like Logan did also kind of seem very like whatever about the situation, but like I said, the same thing with like Rodney seeing how Eliza acted, and it's an indication to him, like Logan seeing how Kate just immediately said yes without even pulling him aside, you know, that's got to be telling for Logan of like, hey, you know, this is how she's acting. Like she just did the same thing to you that she kind of did to Jacob.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a wake up call for him. So
I don't know. No, yeah, exactly. I don't know if this whole thing about like, again, like, oh, he tells her to go on the date and he's like, oh, I want you to like stop me from going on the date. I don't know how much is this like, it obviously could be just like the people's feelings and stuff like that, and that's fine, but I don't know how much of this is like the producers and stuff like that going up to them and being like, again, because the people the people on the show could be like, oh, I'm not doing that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the producers are like, oh, keep an open mind, like if you have like maybe like second thoughts about something, you go for it, whatever, because they know it's going to create drama between the people that might be with somebody else already. So that's obviously, they know that's going to create, oh, let's capture this. So they know that. And then I have one more thing about this before the date. I thought it was so funny where Hayden was talking about being excited about the date, and on his name card at the bottom, it said obsessed with his dog. I thought,
I did notice that. Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. They're really clever with it.
And I think that's the thing is like, even like Ben and Ashley, I were like, like they don't want to say anything negative because they obviously feel bad for the whole situation with the dog, but it's like he's doing it to himself in some ways because he's talking about it, and it's like obvious. And then that's the thing that everybody gave the memes of like Rambo sitting there watching Hayden on the TV, and I'm like, look, then if you're gonna make a big thing about your dog, why are you? Oh.
Especially when he was like, oh, I wouldn't leave, like when he was on The Bachelorettes, he was like, I wouldn't leave him unless it was for this reason. It was like, were you gonna leave him again? Like I just
and you left him again. Well, he gets paid this time, so maybe he needs the money to pay the 6 figures for the surgery for the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Like so surprised about that, which obviously it's a crazy amount to pay for that, but still, like.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. So they go zip lining. Kate was having more fun than him. He was mortified, and so they are not a good match. This was uncomfortable to watch. She was like, really, like, I made a mistake. And then Hayden told Kate about what, this. Hayden told her about what he said to Gabby about the being rough around the edges. And
she was not having it.
And then she was just like, did you? And he's like, I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. And I was just like, what the, I mean, good for her for asking that point blank question. Like, I have a little more respect for Kate now because she was like pretty blunt with him on just like the what the heck did you do? And it just cracks me up of the I don't know, I don't remember. And it's like, well, when you came back to go watch the replay, you're going to see that you did because you didn't go to the mental hall. And she did realize it was a mistake to go on the date. So whatever. And then so I don't know if you had anything else to say.
I just get back to everybody else. Exactly. Exactly. Everything that you said. I'm glad that she kind of like started to see where Hayden's priorities were at, and I'm glad she kind of got to see like, oh, okay, maybe we're not a match, and this was kind of a mistake to go on the date and stuff like that. And I love, again, he also asked how I also like was comparing her that they accused me of or the guys on The Bachelorette accused me of calling my ex hotter than Gabby and Rachel, and then she was like, did you? And he was like, well, I don't remember. He also said that again, and I was like, come on, dude. And then he, icing on the cake was like, he said, oh, well, if I'm being honest with you, I think Gabby and Rachel weren't there for the right reasons, and I was. And I was
my gosh, yes, I forgot he said that.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
that was so bad.
Whatever, he's gonna eat those words because
no, I know.
Supposedly, Gabby and Rachel show up to the beach. I don't know when.
Oh, if they do, that'd be really funny. I'd love to see if it was with Hayden.
I did read some more spoilers about what happens when they're there, but I wonder if Hayden's still gonna be there when they come.
I would love that. That'd be so amazing.
I won't.
They have to plan that so when they do that, especially like I love how they were doing kind of the compare and contrast thing where Kate was like, oh, did you say that? And then he was like, oh, I don't remember. It was a long time ago, whatever. And then they show the clip from the Bachelorette season a few months ago. And I love what she was like, yeah, okay. Like I just like she kind of just wasn't even taking it at that point. She was like, fine, whatever. Like I don't it was so annoying.
So Justin and Eliza, then they're talking after their date, and then Michael was narrating about the whole love triangle. I agree with his opinion. It's going to be up to Eliza. Justin talks to Michael and Andrew, and the guys all feel weird about it because they're all friends with Rodney and Justin, and then Rodney and Justin go to talk, and they're both like,
And I just feel so bad for Rodney.
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, at least they're like being men and talking about it, and it's kind of just like, whatever. I do applaud Andrew for being honest in his interview because he was like, Rodney is the right choice and Justin is the shiny object. But I agree with Andrew's thing. I don't think that that's the decision that Eliza's gonna make. But and this isn't anything against Justin's character. I think in this particular situation, that's what Andrew take is, and I do agree with it.
No, I do too. And again, like we were talking about, I don't think in any way Rodney was making Eliza feel unwanted in any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he was doing that at all, or like was intending to do that at all. And I feel like that's kind of what Eliza was kind of like, again, becoming the victim with, which was absolutely ridiculous. But I just hated how she was like, well, I gave you that chance, like, but you didn't take it. And I was like, come on. Like, it was just so frustrating.
Yeah. And then they had, because then Eliza and Rodney go talk. I didn't know how to feel about that conversation. It was so uncomfortable.
I
I
know.
didn't even like make any other details. But then she goes to go talk to Justin and then kiss Justin and whatever. And then
I was like, well, that was quick.
it's like she's gonna pick Justin. It's
No,
just
I
what it
know.
happens. She's gonna pick Justin, and I feel bad for Rodney. But you know what? If this is how she's gonna be, then Rodney's better off not being
Yeah,
with
he's
her.
better off. Exactly.
Better
He
off.
made the right choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
hands down.
Then the twins arrive.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
Was it Justin? No,
Justin and Joey.
it is. Oh, so there are two Justins now. Okay, because I was
Yeah.
like, I was Justin and Joey, and they're from Gabby and Rachel's season. So
They got eliminated.
Victoria's.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what?
No, I was
Victoria's
just gonna say if anybody doesn't remember, they got eliminated with what's his name?
Roby, the
Roby.
magician.
Yeah, Roby the magician. So if you maybe that's if you didn't watch all the season, you might not remember them. But yeah, it was interesting to see them come back on or come to the beach. I thought it was so funny that they were like, oh, we're wearing the same shirt, but it wasn't planned. And it was,
Yeah. Victoria was like in her ITM was like every time when I see twins, I want to shake my chest. I'm like, oh my God. They are super young compared to most of the rest of them. So they're 24 each. And then I think Michael made the comment of like, I was 15 when they were born.
yes.
Of course, the craziest thing was they picked the two oldest women on the beach to go on the dates with. Florence and Shanae are 32 and 30. I mean, I'm 31, so like I'm in between their age. And they're the ones that go on the date. Shanae was like that they smell different. I don't even remember who grabbed who. I don't even remember. They went on the date. I don't know. They each picked one guy.
I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I wrote it down if you want to actually get the specifics. It
Yeah,
was Justin and Florence and Shanae and Joey. So
okay.
Joey with Shanae, Justin with Florence.
Yeah. So Shanae did say that they smell differently. And I was just, and then they left and everybody's like, I don't think they realize what they're getting themselves into. They're taking like these women that are very opinionated.
Yes, and I love how Logan was like, "Well, I wonder if the mom's gonna come pick them up afterwards," and he was making those jokes. And then I love how on the name card, I know we'll get to the date, but do you want me to talk about the date, like what they did, or do you want to do that?
Yeah, go ahead. You talk about that.
Okay. It was just so much happened. It was just crazy, but and I thought it was really funny how I forgot. Oh, it was Jacob. He was like, I wonder if they shared the same first girlfriend. Oh, no, it was Aaron. He was like, oh, they shared the same first girlfriend. And then like Victoria was like, is that true? He was like, no, I'm just making that up. I don't know.
Oh, and Jacob said Tarzan isn't able to tame a wild cougar.
Exactly. And then I thought, and then I like you said that they both seem to have connections with them, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
And Wells happens to show up at the date and he was like, he was like, oh, whatever. He's like, I take on some shifts here, whatever, I don't care. But I thought that was really funny. And then I thought it was really funny because they do like those cantina games and stuff like that. That was a really clever concept, I thought. I thought it was awesome to have Wells there. He makes the party more lively and everything. It's so awesome. And I love how on the name card again, with the twins when they were introducing them, it said we can't tell them apart either. So
I didn't notice.
that was really funny. They're really on top with that, on point with those name cards this season. And I just wrote down the human burrito when they like rolled them through like those ingredients things. I thought that was really funny. And then Shanae and Joey won the cantina games. And then they like while talking and like you said, they have a really good connection. And then they were kissing. They were both. The twins were both kissing each woman they were with, and Shanae said that this was the best she had felt with anybody this whole process, which is crazy to me. She wasn't even expecting it. And then Florence had the same thing about Justin, and they have a way stronger connection than she expected, and they also kiss. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought the date was fun to watch. It was really short, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's funny is like I think they're only like 1 or 2 years older than like some of the other guys that are on the beach. So it's funny that they're making such a big deal. I mean, they also just like kind of look younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then can I just say the part when she had to lick his armpit, I almost literally threw up.
Oh my God.
I get this like secondhand nausea. Like there's an episode of The Office where one person starts throwing up and they all start throwing up. Like when I watched it, I almost threw up because of that situation. Like that is what I get. So I mean, not that they got nauseous when she had to lick his armpit, but like I'm watching it and I was like immediate nausea. Anyway.
Just a no. It's a no.
I don't know. It was at least like a fun date. Like they at least were they made the most of it. you know, because you always feel bad for these people that come onto the beach so much later, like when everybody's coupled up. So it's like, at least if they can go and like have a good time and not be totally
Yes.
disgusted by each other,
Yes.
then it's fine. But
Exactly. And then we arrive with the guys playing in the pool again, like they've been showing them all season.
well, yeah, this kind of, I think, goes into one of the final things of the episode, and then we're done with. Yep. So Aaron was swimming and Rodney was like, yeah, he's basically a fish now. So they start clipping to this whole thing about how Genevieve feels that Aaron isn't balancing his time with the guys and with her. And this is one of those things that it's kind of hard to tell, like, just from the way the show is, because we can't get the editing. Like, the editing can only convey so much of like how it is throughout the day, because it's like, is she okay, let me back up. If she doesn't feel like she's getting enough time, she just needs to communicate it to him.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point, was like, she just clearly wanted to have that conversation, that she's falling in love with him and she wanted to have that moment. And I think it was just like, he was just kind of like blowing her off, and he wasn't reading between the lines and picking up on the hint of like, I want to have a serious conversation with you. And it just escalated. So they're all sitting on that one day bed, and it's like, really, once they start fighting, everybody gets up. And I was like, wow, like everybody. Wow, they were really all sitting on that day bed. There were so many of them. But it just was so uncomfortable because they were fighting in front of everybody. And then he says that she gaslit him, and I was like, okay, these people do not understand the definition of gaslighting. None of them. I'm sorry.
I know.
I think the thing that bothered me, you know, because then Genevieve got upset and she went upstairs and she was going to start to pack her bags, and Victoria was talking to her, and then Victoria went down to try to talk to him, and she told him, don't be irrational. And then that was the thing, is then he was sitting in that other area, and then Genevieve went to go sit in that, to talk in that other area. And I was like, I was hoping that they were going to get to some sort of like calm resolution, but then he flipped out on her and was like, it always has to be when it's right for you. I need to think about what's right for me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that whole response was a red flag in my book. Yes. Okay. And then, you know, she gets up to, because I don't think he realized that she was literally starting to pack up to leave. So then she started to actually go leave. I thought this was it. I thought this was the end.
I thought so too. I thought she was gone. Yeah.
The end. Like, my mom fell asleep and didn't watch that part, and then she's like, well, just tell me what happened. I'm like, no, you need to watch this. So this weekend we're gonna watch the second part of that. I'm like, you need to watch what happened.
Yes.
But so then he came after her, and Eliza and Victoria were like listening. Wait, was it Eliza and Victoria, or was it Serena and Victoria? I'm having a moment now. I don't remember. They were listening down, like,
yes, on it was Eliza and Victoria.
Oh, it was Eliza and Victoria. Yes. And then I was like, why? Then they were playing this horrible marching band music. I don't know why.
No, I know. I heard that too. I thought that was really funny.
And then all of a sudden something happened. Well, because I think she finally said, like, I wanted to talk to you about that I was falling in love with you. And then he was fine. And then they get saved. And I was like, I'm sorry. I don't. Their communication styles, I say this just because I can't think of a better phrase. They're too hot-headed.
Yes.
The two of them, like, they're just too hot-headed, and it's like very emotionally volatile, and it's just too much. And you know, it was crazy because, like, I was on Twitter when the episode was actually airing, and I was looking at their tweets, and Aaron just, like, Genevieve was like tweeting a lot, and then Aaron basically started tweeting, and he said something. He's like, I'm not talking about this anymore. Like, I'm just as mentally and emotionally exhausted as I was the night it happened. And I was like, okay, so I don't think it's a spoiler because it's pretty obvious based on the evidence. Like, I don't think they follow each other on Instagram. Genevieve and Justin don't follow each other on Instagram. Justin was visiting Aaron in San Diego, and they were like having a beer, I think, when they were watching the episode. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that Aaron and Genevieve are not together anymore. And Justin and Aaron are like,
what a big surprise.
They're cool. I mean, everybody's just joking because they're like, well, it's because Aaron's real love is James. And I'm like, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like, how do I say this? I feel like Aaron needs, they each need someone that I feel like is a little more, I don't want to say this in a horrible way. Like, they just need someone that's a little more like emotionally solid.
Yeah.
Because they do both have emotional moments, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I have my moments.
Yes.
But I think the point is that they're just too hot and cold with each other, and
Yeah,
like
totally.
it's just not a healthy relationship. And
Exactly.
it's just like it shouldn't have had to escalate to that. It's just not healthy. So I don't know what the straw that breaks the camel's back is going to ultimately be. But
Yeah.
anyway, what were your thoughts?
Where do I start? Just like you were saying, it was like prime example of an unhealthy relationship. That's the exact thing I was thinking. And it's
Yeah.
like you were saying, if they would have like, I thought it was really funny when like they kept showing the shots of the rest of the people
Mm-hmm.
around, and like they slowly one by one kept going, like slowly got up as they were fighting, and they just kept fighting.
Yeah.
And like you said, the whole gaslit, whatever, that was just so unnecessary. And it was like, again, they don't understand what the
Mm-hmm.
definition of it is and whatever. That made me mad. But
They haven't experienced it. I've experienced it,
no, I
so
know
I know
exactly,
what
me
it
too.
means.
So it's like I know we both know what it means exactly. But I just thought it was so, because like I feel like they could have like easily handled it then. Like you said, it could have been calm, and then it could have been like resolved at that point and just completely done with, and then it would have been good. But the fact that they like cannot, like you said, they have really hot and cold moments, and then the fact that they like blow up, like they just completely blow up at each other at any single, or like almost at every single moment that they fight, like Genevieve will be like, I can't take this anymore. She walks away. And then Aaron's like, oh, okay, well, you're not being mature. And then he walks away. And it's just like, I just feel like they just blow up
Yeah.
and get too angry so quickly to where it's just not a good match for a potential relationship. I just don't think it's healthy. I
No.
think they have a good connection in some aspects, but I just think overall, they just have such a overwhelmingly strong reactions to things. And again, that's fine. I have my
Yeah.
moments too, but it doesn't seem like they can kind of handle them in healthy ways to where it could be a sustainable, healthy relationship. So that's why I don't think they could really last or be a good match in that aspect. But I just wish they could have kind of resolved it once. And then, and just like you said, Genevieve was like, oh, okay, I'm leaving. And then she still had her freaking bathing suit on, and she had all her bags like packed, and she didn't even like, she was just like so dead set on like I just thought it was really interesting that like she was just rushing out of there. That was like again, like,
I well, the way he responded to her, especially when they
no,
went to that other room, I would have had the
I
same
would have done
reaction.
the same thing too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it
I
was
completely
just so
agree.
like she was upset and she was trying to talk to him, and then it's like he had the audacity to say what he said to her
Yes,
like that. And it's like I understand his point of like, it's just like you're not understanding what she's saying to you, and it's like you're just
yes.
gonna be like I
No,
don't
I
know.
totally agree. No, I totally agree. And I feel like you said, if I was in that situation and I was talked to like that, I would pack up and leave too. But if like you said, I feel like they just get really, really. They let the emotions get the best of them. I think, and that's just not really a recipe for success in a
Yeah,
romantic relationship. And so that's why I think kind of their struggle is. But like you said, I think Aaron just got kind of fed up, and that's when he kind of just exploded. And I
yeah,
don't think, obviously, uncalled for it. I don't think what he said was right at all, and I don't
no,
like it at all. But I think that's the reason why Genevieve got so upset and left. And like you said, then he kind of blew it off and was like, well, okay, well, fine. Like it's like she's not even going to talk. But he had said what he said before. So again, there's just a lot
yeah.
of back and forth that I just don't think is really healthy for them. So that's why I don't think they're a good match. But yeah.
I think the other thing too is it's just like they have to learn how to de-escalate because they're not going to solve the issue when they're in that heightened state of emotion and like anger and
Yeah.
frustration. That it's like I don't think they really like, even though they separated, it's like they didn't really fully like calm down before they tried to talk again, and it just keeps making the situation worse. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like, when I felt like when he walked away the other day because the other situation, like I felt like he at least like removed himself from the situation. She could tell he was upset, but then they went to talk and then he opened up and it was fine.
Yeah.
Like so they clearly know.
And
I
then
don't
they
know.
made up. So
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that I just don't, even if it like, even if whatever the way Paradise is, it doesn't seem like they have any interest in rekindling anything after
no,
that.
exactly. Totally.
So
That's all I had on
I
that.
don't
But
know. Yeah, I think I just was like shocked that it got saved. So I don't know. I thought that was the end.
yep.
Anyway, the previews, I was like, oh wow, here we go with the previews. I
There's a
forgot if
lot of
there was
different
anything
things.
specifically noteworthy, but all I know is then they have an end clip then they were recapping the double date to everybody and telling them what had happened. And then he mentioned about licking the armpit, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." I was like, "How do you forget about that?
How do you forget about that?
How do you get the taste out of your mouth that you forget about them?"
Oh my gosh, I know.
Anyway,
It's
okay.
crazy.
Yeah, so
That's pretty much it.
yeah, so next week we get a reprieve because it is election day on Tuesday.
Yep.
So next week we only have 1 week of or one episode of Dancing with Stars and one episode of Bachelor in
Thank
Paradise.
you.
We get a little bit of a reprieve
Yes.
before the last few weeks for the finales, and then we get like an actual break until January
Yep.
from all the shows.
Yep, and then we're planning some things for that break, so you guys can stay tuned and we'll be talking about that. But it'll be good to at least kind of get a break from the weekly kind of shows, because it definitely we've been nonstop every week pretty much since mid-June or mid-July, since the Bachelor. That was like middle July. So that's crazy to me. It's like November, so it's crazy.
Yeah, we're still planning to post different things, but I think the main thing to just keep in mind is it's like at least we won't have all these hours of television to watch before we record the episode each week. So
exactly, we can kind of plan accordingly and not have to stress out about it.
Yes. Oh goodness. Anyway, all right.
You ready
to wrap up? Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to today's episode. We really appreciate it. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit the post notification bell. And if you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. Please follow our Instagram for Ballrooms and Bachelors at Ballrooms and Bachelors, and our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in the description bio of the Ballrooms and Bachelors Instagram page, and they appear at the end screen of this episode. So thank you guys so much again for watching. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.